Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
This is Jeremy, go by just Jeremy on Discord. Yep.
And this is Aaron, I go by Treffenwood.
And welcome back. Quick announcements for today. Parker, you're down to 1,904 episodes before all these bets kick in and you lose your shirt.
Ooh. But one bet's coming back to me today.
Is it? Is it?
I'm in the money. I'll wait patiently until my record
Wait
ends.
patiently.
I'll wait patiently.
Okay. And then finally, we have the Show Me Showdown coming up. By the time you're hearing this, the Show Me Showdown will be in full effect. We are doing the warm-up tournament Friday, and then we've got the qualifier on Saturday, and a 3-person team event on Sunday. If you still have time, you should come out. It's going to be a good time. That's all I have, though.
So the warm-up tournament is what? We just come out and play games Friday, or what?
Yeah, it's just a standard, tournament. So it's kind of shake the rust off for the people traveling, get some games against people you don't get to play very often.
Gotcha.
I'm actually going to be able to do all of the events. I'm really excited. I'll be there every day.
Nice.
Yeah. Unusual, but I will be there all 3 days. Super pumped.
You had to buy a new car to make this happen.
A new car helps, yes. We would not have been able to do it without the second vehicle, yeah. Because the other one was slowly falling apart.
Had it already fallen into pieces, or it was about to?
It was about to. Like, both catalytic converters failed, and because of that, like, the smart technology on the car was not allowing it to get power all the time, because there's just like, nope, you have too many emissions or whatever, and it would just, like, turn off power while I was trying to do things on, like, a highway and stuff like that. So it was, not good. It was a hoopty.
I'll be back in a minute, guys. You keep talking.
Okay. Aaron died. I thought we were going to make it through a whole podcast with someone dying.
We've lost him. But I think we have nothing to do but go forward, right? That's
Yep.
He would want us to continue.
He would want us to continue.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on. What's next, Parker?
News. We got news.
News.
Hey, news! Yes. News!
All right, what's our spicy news?
So we got some news today. First bit of news is the affiliation list is updated since we got Ghost Rider, M'Baku, and oh my gosh, I'm just blanking on his dumb name. The man made of sound, Claw. Why couldn't I think of his name?
The man made of sound.
Made of sound.
He is made of sound.
How is that relative to like his name?
It's not.
Somehow that brought his name.
He's got a fake hand. What would you call it?
Shockwave.
A bell?
Sound wave.
Yeah.
He has a bell.
A bell.
It looks like a bell. Anyway.
What a missed opportunity. They had the opportunity to name a character Tuning Fork and didn't.
Or Bellman.
And instead they named him Black Bolt.
Yeah. You're right.
Aww.
They named him Blackagar Boltagon, let's be fair. And then his superhero name he chose was Black Bolt.
Is that not the exact same thing?
No, because Blackagar Boltagon is clearly different.
Oh, okay.
It's clearly an inhuman name. Anyway. Cosmic Ghost Rider is going to be in some affiliations. We know one of them is Black Order, which makes sense because he does have come with a card. And the other one, that's important for my bet, is he is in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I do not gain 8,000
what was
missions.
the bet?
The bet is that Cosmic Ghost Rider would be in Guardians of the Galaxy. And
I don't know. Can you read the bet off the screen for me?
The bet says no.
Parker
you added that today.
Cosmic
if I went to
Ghost
edit
Rider
that,
only in Guardians.
You said that only appeared just now. I read it when I logged in. I'm not kidding, because I was like, "What did I bet? I better hope I bet that."
Tell you what, we'll split the difference. 4,000.
How about not? Let's just give me one. How about?
All right, fine. 1903. We're down to 1903.
Man,
8.9 million.
So light.
That was the Parker punishment, though. Is we just added one word to one of your bets.
Yeah. So Cosmic Ghost Rider is in Guardians. Cosmic Ghost Rider is in Black Order. That's all Cosmic Ghost Rider could be found in. Do we have anything to say about that? We already kind of knew this. Is this anything we're super excited about being in those affiliations or not?
We were pretty much expecting that. What is it? It's Cabal. Claw and Cabal's a little surprising. Claw not in Wakanda. I don't know if it's surprising, but I think we expected him to be.
Oh, I hadn't mentioned Claw yet, but yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, Claws and Cabal and criminals, because he's a criminal leader and nothing else.
I was distracted by you gerrymandering previous bets.
We'll just go ahead and go the whole 9 yards. M'Baku is in Wakanda because he is a leader. That makes sense. He's also in criminals, which I think surprised some people. But in the comic books, he's definitely a criminal type. So it makes some sense in the comic books, even though it doesn't really jive with the MCU version of him. So 2 new criminal characters are added.
Say it's like 3 Wakandans now in criminals. It's kind of surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Claw isn't a Wakandan, but he's part of their genre.
Mm-hmm. But M'Baku and Killmonger are both criminals. So there's that.
I think he spends more time in Wakanda than Storm does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do you guys think this affects anything? Do you think there's any noticeable takeaways here?
I think I mentioned it back with Wakanda when M'Baku was first debuted, and we knew he was going to be in there because he had leadership for Wakanda. I think M'Baku is a really awesome addition to Wakanda. I'm excited to play him. I know some people are still waiting for the Rivals pack before they try Wakanda again, but I think M'Baku already gives them things to do they weren't doing already. And they were a strong tiny faction before, but I think you can still play Black Panther with M'Baku and appreciate M'Baku's leadership more, in my personal opinion. I'll be excited to try it and see if I'm way wrong, but I like M'Baku a lot. I don't think him being in Criminal Syndicate is a super amazing thing for criminals, but criminals is slowly accruing a bunch of 4 costs and 5 cost sturdy models, which I think is interesting, because usually we think of criminals with Kingpin going wider with lots of small models, but you can now definitely put in some more difficult to kill 4 and 5 costers like Ulik, Rhino, M'Baku, Gwenpool. These are all just recent additions that make them a lot harder to remove off the table.
I think M'Baku with Shadowlands leadership becomes interesting as well, being that he comes with his card and allows movement shenanigans and stuff. Or isn't it extra dice or something? Rerolls
It's Wakanda only.
Oh, is that Wakanda only?
Yeah.
Does he have any cards that are just him specific? No.
Checking.
No, there's one for Claw.
Nope.
One Wakanda and
they're
one
all. Yeah, they all require Wakanda except for Claw's card.
Well, maybe not then.
Yeah, I think he's going to spice up Wakanda a lot, but I'm not super excited personally for him. It'll definitely give them something to do other than the same old 2 things they've been doing forever, which is good.
There's some crazy Killmonger tech with him that I heard about recently that's kind of off the chain, but it's his tactic cards and advanced R&D and all kinds of shit, and it creates a mess of attacks from Killmonger that's just off the chain. But other than that, the shock and awe of that wearing off, I don't know. I mean, he seems like he creates some sort of crazy second turn insanity. Yeah.
All right. What's next for news, Parker?
So the next bit of news we got is the banned and restricted list. And okay, so first of all, let's just talk about the one that I'm not too bummed about. The banned card, which is Team Tactics card, Follow Me, is now banned from the game. Which, okay, I guess you can. What do you guys think?
I know I'm one of the people that intentionally avoided this card. Not because I thought it was particularly broken. I just thought it was a really binary line of play. When it's good, it's absolutely backbreaking, and when it's not good, it's completely worthless. And so I don't like cards that are, I don't know, have the opportunity to be not useful in games. So I kind of avoided this. Also, it feels kind of gimmicky. Same reason I usually don't play Advanced R&D. I just avoid those, play patterns. So to me, this feels like the most irrelevant ban in the history of the world, because I think I've played against Follow Me one time since, before the restricted list was a thing.
Yeah, I'm actually a little. That's one of the reasons why I said okay. Is I really thought, all right, so this is going to change one strategy I had in one of my 12 lists that I don't really do anymore, and like and you're right, I almost never see this card played opposite me. I saw it played, I think, twice with Malekith at the last time I saw it was in Las Vegas, and I was playing people were playing Malekith with it, and it didn't do anything for them both times. So I guess is that why they banned it? Is because big guy lists could remove too many models because you could activate Thanos and Malekith or Immortal Hulk and Red Skull or something like weird like that, and so they said we gotta ban this.
Speculating why it got banned, I want to talk about in a minute.
Okay.
I was more interested in I guess we pretty much covered it. What was your guys' take? I guess, do you think this affects the current meta a lot?
So I will say,
I think I know why it got banned, but
I'm a tentative fan of this change. So I play with a little wider meta than what you guys do, since I play online. I played against Follow Me several times. It was not dominating, but it was really prevalent in two specific builds. One was Malekith, where you just Follow Me, Malekith, Red Skull, and you just murder everyone. The second one was Hulk Guardians, or you could play any big gang Guardians, and as they go round 2, first, kill someone, Follow Me into Rocket and Groot, Deadly Duo. It's the same problem. You just fucking lose your entire team. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? They just start their turn, they play the card, they keep playing their turn. I've also seen it with Sin and Crossbones or Proxima Corvus, to where they're in 3 activations. So I'm totally okay with all of those play patterns going away, because they can be a negative experience, period. The reason I liked the card was because it was a counter to tall lists. Right? It was a way for me, playing a slightly wider list, to be able to steal Prio. I think I tried that. It was several months ago, and it was specifically countered by them also bringing Follow Me. So it made my Follow Me completely worthless, and they just kept Prio. Anyway, there's my 2 cents.
Jeremy, did you have a weigh-in?
Yeah, I mean, everything else they've done in the past with bans and changes to character cards and whatever, they've been eliminating this go and go again mechanic ever since the game was started. This whole, once you're knocked down, you can no longer get up. There's no more field dressing. There's no more go twice cards. There's no more. They don't like it unless it's the husband and wife and the 2 3-pointers going. Like, you just can't. They do not like this whole idea of going and going again. So I'm with that. That's fine. But that's my take on it. I didn't really see it that much. I don't like the play pattern of spend a shitload of power and be this close to me and being able to. I don't care for that. And I just haven't really seen it be that big of a deal. And if you really, really need it to happen in your list, play, original Red Skull. He can still cause it to happen. He's got a card that does it, so whatever.
I think that's a good takeaway. Is it's a way of future-proofing mechanics by restricting who can use them, kind of like drop-off getting taken away, and we got special delivery, which is a just heavily restricted version of drop-off. And so, yeah, I think that's probably the right idea, is that they want to rein in these unique mechanics in the game. And currently, the only way to do this is, like you said, printed on cards that you have to include in your list and only work with 1 or 2 people. The last time I played against it was Parker was doing it with Black Swan and Proxima and Corvus. And so you get 3 activations in 1 turn. You get to unload a silly amount of damage to your team, like Aaron was saying, which results in you probably downing multiple people, but because you've actually activated 3 of your models, you're not actually even giving up priority. You're just getting to lay into them for free. And so it's really brutal. I think anyone who's ever played against this probably understands the merits of the card. So speculation time, why do you think it is now that it's getting banned?
I mean, the low-hanging fruit would be that there is coming up maybe more characters that can activate in tandem. Maybe there's an affiliation even that'll let you under certain conditions activate 2 characters at once. and so they don't want a Follow Me to be available for that affiliation. Or another thing which they did with Shield is they're banning Follow Me, and then they're going to give the Follow Me card specifically to a new affiliation, because that's what they did with Shield and their heal card that spin 2 heal 3. I can't remember the original one.
It was MedPack originally.
Yeah, MedPack originally, and Shield got MedPack Plus, right? So that's also a possibility, is that they're future-proofing their next affiliation that's going to get their own Follow Me card, and that'll make them special as opposed to
possible.
So let's be clear. Follow Me is not yet banned.
Correct.
Okay. Well, what is the effective date of that ban, Parker?
7/28.
Okay. So as of this recording, we still have 16 days of play as much Follow Me as you want.
Go crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, are we ready to talk about the next one? I'm curious.
Well, I was just going to drop in. I actually think this is a lot to do with the guy coming out tomorrow. I think Cosmic Ghost Rider in a meta with Follow Me is very appealing, and I don't think it's the only reason, but I think it goes into the effect of, if you're going to have these really big models, you can't allow them to also activate multiple people in a turn.
And his movement is just kind of silly. So he can kind of like get as much power as he wants, get near anyone he wants to, and then activate them. Like,
well, it's also his power generation, because he could just get 6 power every turn.
Yeah,
so
he can.
He alone could just play. Not only could he get the 6 power, but he could just go stand next to somebody too, and so he's just like a free Follow Me.
I mean, there are already characters in the game that could Follow Me. He's dangerous, but there are already characters that can automatically follow me on turn 2. Like, every Sentinel can automatically follow you on turn 2. So, like, there are things in the game that can already do it. Like,
well, but the Sentinels don't also get repositioning effects, and it's part of what we talked about earlier, like activating the really powerful models that put out a lot of damage, and then like circumventing the fact that your opponent's losing activations by you gaining activations. So it's like a combination of the two is really why I think it might have been Ghost Rider.
If Ghost Rider activates and then follows me into Malekith, I'm going to quit the game.
Yeah.
I don't see that being that egregious, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, Ghost Rider is great. He's really. I don't see him being the reason why they did this, because again, kind of like I made this point in the last cast. I don't think the release schedule has anything to do with this stuff. I think they just put models out when they put models out. I think maybe this has to do with a new affiliation, like I said, but or like a new way to print that card, or a new way that card is coming out. Like they may do a new card pack or something like that, and then this is a new. They want a new one of it, or a new version of it. I don't know if it has anything to do with a particular model coming out this month, but maybe I'm wrong.
Alrighty, what is next, Parker?
So the next one, I think your point on Follow Me having no character restriction, and that being really really good, because then you could play it at lots of places. Then we have, for the first time ever, a restricted card that also is a character-only card. It is Deception, Mystique's card, that allows you to, if you target an enemy and if they have no one nearby, no friendlies nearby, you can't have them move their speed in any direction. I am beside myself with this decision. I think this is absolutely terrible. I actually, in order to not have a diatribe on the podcast, I actually wrote down what I wanted to say about it, so I didn't talk about it forever.
Okay.
But I don't know if you want me to go first or second.
Well, I think we're all in agreement about the three of us, other than Parker, are in agreement with this change and what we feel about it. So why don't you go first, and then we'll scream at you.
Okay. I just don't see. I think it does two things. And I'll read, so I'm not.
I would say go to your notes.
Yeah.
Do your notes.
The restricted list is about increasing the cost of cards by having them compete with other cards, right? So they have more than one cost. This makes sense for generic far above par cards because there is zero opportunity cost to take them otherwise in any version of the game. This is simply not the case with Deception. In this case, you not only have to take a 3-point C- model in your roster, but she also takes one of your precious out-of-affiliation slots, unless you're taking Brotherhood of Cabal. That's already a very steep cost for just wanting to take this card. Why, after this model being out for 2 years, are we now adding more cost to this? This is the first character-specific card targeted for this kind of cost increase. I don't like the precedent this is setting. I can list several character-specific cards that are good enough to pay the cost of the character. Will each one get restricted as the meta latches onto them one after another? It's clear this card is very strong and definitely a gotcha play. Many others in this level restricted to an affiliation as well as characters, and it makes more sense for this to be restricted to Brotherhood in this case. That kind of change makes sense. Or giving the card a power cost, modifying its range, or changing its effects to a shorter push instead of an advance, for example. All of these things would limit the range of danger and punishing nature of this card, but restricting it doesn't do any of that stuff. For lists that use this as a key part of their game plan, they'll just lose a restricted card and play this anyway. Happy to pay the cost. For people overly reactive to nerfs at all, they'll just run away from it like a plague, and we'll see another next best character card get restricted soon when everybody starts playing that. Either way, I don't see it fixing the card's core issue, and it opens up the gates to a potentially very slippery slope.
All right. I think you had several good points in there. I agree with several of them wholeheartedly. I have a couple questions. So first, would you feel the same way if Exceptional Healing got restricted? Because while it's not a character-specific card, it is limited to a very specific band of characters.
I would say it would be fair to restrict that card because it's not. You don't have to take one character in your list while you're playing to play that card. You can take any number of 2 to 5 point characters.
Okay. Do you feel that Deception was a very strong card and that people that included in their lists were advantaged?
Yes. I also got to play Deception for a long time, which is funny. Deception to me was kind of like special delivery. It worked until people in our meta started figuring out what it was, and then it just didn't work anymore, and I stopped playing it. Because as it turns out, it was only useful in very specific situations, not in every single time, which I think, we've talked about this before. Some people like just hitting the go button, and they just think it's the easy button, and so they just always put Deception down, even when they probably shouldn't. And so I stopped putting Deception down, and it was the right call. It's not the best card to put down every single time you put it down. It's a really good card, though. It does create a puzzle for your opponent that they must think about while they're playing, sure.
I think that the way that Deception has been used in the last year has gone to an excessive degree because of the amount of people investing extremely heavily in turn 1 plays. And it's less about the gotcha of getting the advantage of moving their models and more about creating very predictive advantages on scenario. Through, like, if you have an even number of extracts, like just going up 3-1 on Worthy, for example, it's very hard to stop that from happening, because if you play conservative, they get the points anyway, and if you play free with it and just go for the chance they won't kill you, you're putting the game on very few dice rolls that are going to determine the outcome. I think they don't like those lines of play, and I think they've gone through about everything they can to prevent it from becoming a scripted game. And I think this actually goes a long way towards getting away from that. I honestly wouldn't be surprised either if Advanced R&D was banned in the future for that exact reason.
I still think the point is restricting this is right now, this kind of feels like the Thanos nerf that we got a while ago whenever they restricted the Reality Stone and the Space Stone. Yeah. And now we've come to find out that you can just go ahead and play Thanos with the Reality Stone and the Space Stone. It is still really oppressive, and it's still super good. And you should just do it, most likely. I feel like that's what's going to happen to this. Is I think people are going to run away screaming for it for a while, and then all of a sudden a couple people are going to go, wait a minute, I think this is still just better than Patch Up. I think this is just better than Indomitable. I think this is just better than Disarm. I
agree. I think people are going to get there actually pretty quickly. The people that know they need it to win specific matchups are not going to be afraid to play it as a restricted slot.
Right.
But what it is going to do is you cannot do Reality Space Thanos Mystique. Like, that is not allowed. And so, would I have rather seen it become a Brotherhood only card? Yes. I completely think that would have been probably a better first measure. But that's obviously not what they did. I think I'd rather it be restricted than unrestricted, but I'd rather it be Brotherhood.
I mean, the card is strong enough. You could just give it a cost. Or
like a power cost, cost 2.
Yeah.
Just give it cost 2, so they're playing Advanced R&D just to do it, and they can't do it first.
Right.
Oh no, because she can still just shoot you, so you'd have to stay out of range 3, which means it still works on centerline plays. So that would be annoying.
Or like I suggested, like a push. Make it a push instead of an advance. Like there's different things you can do to make it gameable.
Yeah. I think they'd rather not errata cards if they could do stuff like this. But yeah, again, I think there's other ways they could have handled this. That does not upset me that they restricted it, though. Like, I would still rather it be restricted than the way it was. So if they thought this was the best way moving forward to handle it, I'm okay with that. I don't like the precedent of character restricted cards getting restricted, but let's be honest, the gems getting restricted was 100% a Thanos nerf.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks it wasn't. And so...
That's true.
It's not like they were like, God, we got to rein in this Ebony Maw. It's really oppressive. Like, they're like, nope, Thanos.
I just feel like this was a reaction to prevalence of play rather than what's actually on the card. Because for 2 years, the card, they went through an entire like reset of a cycle and reset of cards and all kinds of things they did to tactics cards while Deception existed in the game, and they did not touch it. So if Deception just rises to the top now, and it's Vogue now, what stops the next card from becoming Vogue and Vogue and Vogue and Vogue? I don't. When you're already paying a cost of the character, when you're already paying a cost for it, I don't like that kind of. I don't like that kind of spinning wheel. I would rather the card just disappear out of a set, right? Like eventually, Deception won't be a card that can play because it has a symbol at the bottom that's not in current rotation. Like that's fine, but I don't like the idea of artificially taking.
Jeremy.
So my question is, and this goes to Aaron, do you feel, and I'm not going to let it go. So, Aaron, do you feel that a C- model is made playable only by the tactics card, or would it be a D- or an F without the card? Go.
You have to fill me in on the past 5 minutes because I stopped listening to everything Parker said as soon as he said Mystique was a C- model.
You blacked out and woke up.
I did.
So me and Parker are actually kind of on one side of the line here because I don't think Mystique gets played outside of Brotherhood if Deception's not a card in this game, and I think we're going to see that dramatic change happen over the next 3 months when this kicks in, because people are going to go from Mystique as an auto splash in every single 10-man roster to you see her maybe 10% of the time, but those 10% are definitely playing Deception. And some of them might be playing Brotherhood, but a lot won't be. But I do think that Mystique has aged very well. The new effects in the game, denying responses, is so much more important now than it ever has been. And so I do think, and Pierce is more prevalent than it's ever been. So 2 of her mechanics are top tier shelf right now. And that's raised my opinion of her a lot. I think she's like a B- model now. But I don't think she's holding up splashable mercenary 3-pointers by any means without Deception. Deception is an A+ card, and you combine it with a C to B model, and it becomes prevalent. But the main thing what I want to say about this is that I think dealing with these cards are good because the meta has become very scripted on scenarios, and I really dislike that about the game. It's probably my least favorite part about the game. Is that every game is a flowchart until a dice roll happens that changes the game, and I really don't like that. I don't like people going up and going, I'm playing this mission, I'm playing this many models at this point total, and I have these 3 tactics cards I play on turn 1 that gives me a 10% advantage on scenario, so now I'm advantaged. I'm like, please, just play the fucking game. Like, why do you have to follow the flowchart for every... And I understand, like, it gives you an advantage. I get why people are doing it, but it's like, it just takes the fun out of the game for me when it's like playing the book in chess. What is fun about playing the book in chess? The fun part of the game happens after you get past the script. And I like that part of the game. I'm not interested in the book. If we're just going to memorize play patterns, like, that's not interesting.
So, is the idea here, like, is their end game with what they're doing to get, and I hope so, I hope their end game is to stop this turn 1 nonsense, to get rid of it, and to create some sort of, like, you're going to have to step up and roll some dice. Like, the game needs to be decided somewhere in the middle on turn 3 or 4, and not decided on turn 0.5. And I think that's where the trouble is it's decided currently somewhere around 0.5 to 1. A lot of times. Not all the time, but a lot of times.
Yeah, I don't think we're in the danger zone yet. Like, I don't think the game has gotten to a point where it's, like, close to solved yet. But I think people think it has.
Yeah. And I think
and
that's
so
some
because
of
of that, they're acting this. They're building their list this way. They're
Mm-hmm.
performing this way, and I don't think it's actually like there yet. What's a good example? Shit, I had something for this. Damn, I lost it. Sorry, I had a point.
Just as an example of what you're talking about right there, and kind of where we're at, of what you're supposed to do and all of this, and playing recently with Shield. And playing a lot of models that you're supposed to play and doing the things you're supposed to do. And it just didn't feel very good to me. And then I put together a Cabal list recently, and I put together Malekith and stuff, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, so Red Skull 2 goes here, and I need to make sure I have Bill here, and I need to make sure, and I started looking at it, and I'm like, I don't even fucking like Bill. Like, he doesn't even do, like, I know what he does, but I don't even like him.
But you have to put Eye on the Prize and Bill in every fucking roster forever because the internet said you did.
I started laying all my shit out, and I'm like, okay, here's the problem. And it was the problem with S.H.I.E.L.D., is I'm like, I don't even like any of those models. Like, that's just not what I wanted. So I put the list back together, and I'm like, okay, let's start. We'll put MODOK in here. I love MODOK. I love this card. I love this card. This is how I like it. And I put the list back together, and I'm like, okay, here we go. This looks enjoyable to me. And when you start going along those lines of thought and play of like what you're supposed to do and what it's supposed to look like and kind of like what turn one is, like how am I going to get through it? I don't know, man. Like I kind of feel like that's what you're talking about. And it just felt gross. Like I'm like, what is this list I just put together? I'm like, that's not even a list I would play.
Yeah. I remembered my point. I don't think Deception is being used the way they wanted it to be used as well, which is part of the reason they're kind of taking action here. Like, I'm looking at other intentional turn one plays that affect the way you play the game, and Sinister Traps comes to mind. And I think Sinister Traps is actually performing very well, because it creates a little mini game that both players have to think about, and it will affect the game in various different ways. I know there's been multiple games when me and Aaron are just theory crafting, looking at a mission going, all right, how would you use this card? And we're going back and forth for 20 minutes about all the different ways you could use it. And it's all up to, like, the specific matchup and, like, the order in which characters are that might activate. And, like, trying to put your own, like, grunt model in place so that you can trigger the trap of the grunt and then go get the objective with your leader character. Like, all this fun stuff you could do to try and play around your own effects. And then we get to Deception, it's just a binary play that I don't think they ever intended to be turn one scenario stuff. I think they intended it to be like Webline, where you pull somebody in for an attrition play later in the game. I don't think they wanted it to be what it is, which is just like the most frustrating, like, scorpion pull ever, because it just auto happens. There's practically no cost.
Yeah.
It just punishes you for playing the game. And I don't think that's what they wanted it to be.
And do you really think that Deception should be restricted, or were you really that offended that I have a low opinion of Mystique out of her faction? Like, what is?
I'm not offended. That's the wrong word.
Okay.
I disagree with you. I'm not offended.
Aaron definitely gets more internet, speak than we do. But,
I agree with 90% of what you and Brandon talked about during your go back and forth. Everything Brandon said about, is the game in a better state now than it was before it was restricted? The answer is yes. Should they have restricted it? Or should they have done something else? And the answer is something else. I do not understand why they refuse to fucking errata a card to make it better. Instead, they just put it on a restricted list. Like, oh my god. Like, Brotherhood only or a power cost, right? Either of those would have been better than restricting it. Totally agree.
I can tell you exactly why they don't errata cards.
Why don't tell me.
Not going to be.
Yeah,
it's not going to be a reason you like.
Stop making me mad. So what I think this does is it eliminates some of the egregious Mystique splash, that being Thanos Guardians. It does almost jack shit for Mystique and Cabal, because Mystique, Red Skull, Malekith is still going to take Deception. They just traded it for Follow Me. Great. I guess they don't have Follow Me anymore, but now they have another card they can use instead. So they basically dropped Follow Me for a different card. And that list still uses Mystique and Deception and Murders the World. And the third list specifically that is impacted is actual Brotherhood, which actually got nerfed. Because now if I don't think Magneto can carry Brotherhood on his shoulders, I think they need Mystique. In fact, I prefer her. I'm not sure I want to not take Deception if I'm bringing Mystique, which means I'm down a restricted card in Brotherhood. That's what that means. I don't like. That's the one part of this change I don't like is Brotherhood just got hit by the Nerf bat, and I was in my mind of minds thinking that Brotherhood had hardly been seen since LVO, and I don't know why. I still think they were good.
You exactly know why.
So I still think they were good, and I was wanting to explore them some more, and then now they just went, well, squash that idea. Anyway, there's my thoughts.
All right, I want a thought exercise. We're gonna go. I'm gonna ask you guys in turn. Did you see this? Did you see Deception getting nerfed in some way coming? Yes or no? Jeremy.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
I also thought so. Parker, did you expect Deception to get touched?
In a reboxing of cards, yes. That's how I saw it getting touched, yeah.
You thought it was going to rotate?
Yeah, I thought it was going to rotate.
Okay. So you thought something was going to happen to it, just not this specifically?
Yeah.
Okay. So we all thought Deception was an outlier card that probably needed to be touched in some way. And I don't think any of us would have preferred this outcome, but we all thought something needed to happen. So I think that's a good point. Like the fact that we're all in agreement that it was not okay the way it was. But probably all of us don't like the restricted choice.
And Aaron, I didn't even mention that, but that is one of the things that I also thought was really sad. I think it's a really good point. That the faction hurt by this the most is the faction that one of the factions, like her leader, the one she's ostensibly the best in, while she's the leader, right? Brotherhood. That's what's really sad about it. Is that Cabal doesn't care; they take it anyway. And if you really, really wanted it for your plan as a mother faction, it depends on how hard you really want it, I guess. But I don't like what it does to the faction that she's supposed to lead in.
Yeah, I think making it Brotherhood would have been a fun change. It would have encouraged more people to play Brotherhood, which would have been nice.
That would have required changing the text on the card, Brandon. They can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to tell you why?
No. I just want to bitch about it from now until eternity.
Okay, that's fair. I can accept bitching. That's fair.
Good.
Alrighty. So I think I was pretty happy with this conversation we've had. I think we voiced our opinions while also being like constructive about it.
I want to make one comment then. Jeremy already touched on it, but they touched the two cards, but they didn't touch Advanced R&D, and I'm not sure why. Because it only leads to turn 1 degenerate plays. Period. Dot. It's going to get worse with Spirit of Wakanda.
So, how about this? I think that they like Advanced R&D more because it's not like a binary automatic play, and there's actually like decision making to be happen. So it's not a card that causes scripted play specifically. Not that it's not, right? Like it allows scripted play to happen, but how many times do you think in all of its uses did Deception get played anytime other than turn 1? 5% of its uses? 1% of its uses?
Probably 40-ish with me, but that's because I play wide.
Right. So you're not using it for the purpose that a lot of people are playing.
I played it in Brotherhood more than I did in other Mystique Splashed lists.
Yeah.
But yes, I will agree that most of the time it was being used to murder people turn 1.
Yeah. I played a lot of Deception with Brotherhood, and I would primarily use it not on turn 1. And I would do that specifically because I would want to start the game, get in position, and actually have a punishing move. And my strategy generally is not win as fast as possible on scenario, which is what a lot of people want to do. And so I'm in it for the long haul. I want to win on 5 or 6. And I use the Deception as a way to get extracts from people. And so I think adding a power cost to the card would have been a really good fix. Because if Mystique just spends 3 for it, I think it's fine. It also breaks R&D, so you have to Advanced R&D turn 1. Also, I don't know that people would really play 2 restricted just to accomplish a Deception. But it's there. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why R&D is not restricted yet. Like, it's too loosey-goosey. It's too anybody can do anything.
It is restricted.
Know that
you mean banned?
Yeah, banned. I think we've learned that the magic of these cards is you cannot let anyone do anything. And it's an anyone do anything card. They just don't do that anymore. That's too much.
Yeah, there's just more mechanics in the game, right? There's
too many.
150 characters now.
Yeah,
there's just too many abilities you have to worry about interacting with.
Yeah.
So open cards like this that allow stuff to happen that was the cards were designed to not allow, specifically by giving them specifically restricted amounts of power. Like, there's a bunch of characters that have gainers, not builders, because it would allow them to do things they don't want to happen.
Yep.
And so when you just add the ability for people to give out power at very minor cost, because Tactics cards are so free nowadays, that creates situations they don't want to happen.
I want to bet half of Parker's episodes that the next card dealt with is Advanced R&D.
So you would want to bet that Advanced R&D will no longer be legal.
It'll be dealt with in one way or another. Yeah,
dealt with. Become Wakanda only. Dealt with.
Potentially dealt.
No,
yeah,
it should be made webs only.
Ooh, gross.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Webs,
they just started
Webs
handing
needs
out,
so much help.
They're like, Webs gets this one. They start handing them out to different affiliations. Everybody gets one.
I honestly thought that's what they were. I thought they were starting that back with Shield a year ago. Is when they started to ban things and then give it to Shield. They gave 2 different cards to Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And
Doom Prophecy went to Asgard.
Doom Prophecy went to Asgard. Medpack went to Shield as well as what's the one that lets you move short?
Sit rep.
Sit rep.
Tactical analysis.
Climbing gear.
Right? Climbing gear.
Oh, no, it was the other one. You're right, Brandon.
Tactical analysis.
It was tactical analysis, but it only costs 1 for Shield, so they could do that first turn. There's a bunch of cool stuff that they did there. I was like, this is cool. Like, making this something you're like, I really like this effect, but I'm going to have to play this affiliation to get it.
Man, I miss climbing gear.
Dude.
That's the card I thought I would miss field dressing. I miss climbing gear.
But all those cards could be reprinted in one faction to make it really interesting. If climbing gear got put in Winter Guard, everybody would stand up and go, ooh, that's cool.
No. Maybe like an actual affiliation.
But I'm saying that's
Inhumans.
I know
they my bear in your backyard. Oh.
There's a bunch of different things they could do to make certain affiliations more appealing or just make people excited to play them. That's kind of what they did with Wakanda way back in the day, right? Wakanda Forever was it used to be the only place you could get that card, and even though there were 4 models for a long time, people still played it because of how cool it was.
Jeremy, it sounds like you're trying to imply that climbing gear is considered the bare necessities.
There was a lot of static. It sounded like
couldn't hear you.
I'll
say it again.
It sounded like
say it again.
It sounded like an asshole exploded. It was so loud.
Okay, so let's move on to our main topic. I think we've talked about that good. Mm-hmm. So our main topic today, this is a special from Jeremy because he's just a crotchety old man. Is Researcher a good or bad mission for the game? Basically, is Researcher causing issues or is it fixing the game? And I think it's pretty obvious that we all agree on this one. It's the best mission in the game. Why are you guys looking down? You're like rubbing your heads and stuff.
Why don't we start with why is this even a question? Let's start there.
Jeremy, why do you think this is a question?
Right, because it's a blue, right? That's actually a red.
It's a blue that's red. Yeah.
Yeah.
They managed to draw a blue line with red ink.
Basically,
they did it.
Yes. Do we need more murder? Right? Like it's supposed to be like, here's somewhere you stand, and then here are the things you pick up and you run with. What if we just stand here and just punch each other in the throat for 6 turns?
Personal experience. I played Thanos Guardians against. Can't remember what my opponent was playing. His models died too
Doesn't
fast,
matter.
But we played last Thursday, and it was Mayor Fisk and Researcher.
Oh.
And I asked him how he was going to win once I put all 3 tokens on top of each other. And
Oh
he's
my
like,
God.
oh no, that can actually happen. I was like, it's a 6-point loot pinata. And he was like, this is the worst.
Jesus Christ. How are you going to win when I put all these on top of each other?
It's just a stack of coins.
Did you get like a platinum achievement for doing that? Is it worth 8?
I actually didn't. Is
it worth 8 at that point?
I scored both of the blues on turn 1, and he moved them as far apart as possible. He was like, you must stop the assembling of the cube. But yeah, so I personally like fighting stuff, and I think the game needs more fighty than it currently has. So what do you guys think? Does anybody think Researcher is bad for the game? How about that? Let's approach from that angle.
Well, I want to hear from the person who brought it up.
Why are we so binary? Does it have to be good or bad? Can
Well,
it be misunderstood?
I want to identify who I'm arguing. I want to identify who I'm arguing with. That's what I want to do.
Okay.
Does anyone think it is very bad for the game?
No.
That sounds like a no. Does anybody think it's very good for the game, other than me? All right, cool. So,
I think
this is gonna be fun.
I will say I'm leaning towards very good, and the reason why is it is a couple times it's created an interesting situation in which I truly had to really pay attention to where my models were on the board because I had to separate, right? Even though I know that you can get exactly the opposite, where it's a F deployment or a Fisk and research, and now everybody just gets to dogpile in the middle. But I've been playing A-Force before. I took research station because I'd like to go play in the middle, and then I got my opponent secures. He got one of his D deployments, and I was like, oh boy. Now I really, truly have to make hard decisions about where I go because I can't just pick up the reds and then go play on the Ds. I actually have to be at 4 places at once. That's a really interesting, tough problem to solve. And that doesn't happen unless Research Station is in the game, because in every other situation you can pick up the red scenarios and then you can go spread out like you were planning on playing on Ds anyway. But when the Research Station is more or less stuck somewhere, it does force you to play much thinner sometimes. I know some people will say the opposite, but for every time you get a really thin deployment where you get Ds and research, you might also get the other one where A-Force loves to play on F plus research. So surely that's worth the trade, right? I don't know. I lost the tournament game because I got D and research. I couldn't split up it well enough.
So identifying the things that might be issues, putting so many points into a single token is obviously questionable. Pretty much every mission you've been able to score 3 points on a single token has been broken by something at some point. Old Gamma, the far point was worth 3. The Meteors was, you would basically come down to fighting over the middle, was worth 3 points. Old Research was actually worth 4, which was fun. The old evacuation effort that got banned was basically worth 3 points per token. So yeah, these have all been issues.
Is it the only all or nothing left?
I believe so.
Yeah, because it's a 2-0, right? Like it's 2-0. So for that reason, I do not like it. For that, I do like it in the sense of it creates a cool dynamic. It moves. You do have to decide, like Parker was saying, you have to decide where your force is going to be. You're like, okay, I got to put someone over there, someone over here. I got to decide what I'm going to do in the middle. It isn't just, we're all going to spread out and fight over everything. Like, you have to decide, which is cool. It's cool to have a lot of decisions going on there.
Yeah. So I'm going to say why I like the mission. One of the many reasons is you can't steal it. I get very frustrated with the models that can steal objectives in today's meta, and it seems like the best way to win is just taking as many stealers as you possibly can in your affiliation. And not having to deal with that as an option, I prefer. I would rather deal with the movement abilities of characters like throws and pushes than dealing with the fact that a model can come from all the way across the board and just spend 3 power and take your objective. It's very frustrating to me because there's almost no counterplay involved. And so I would much rather try and hold a single static point versus them than try and deal with them coming up and taking my stuff. And so I prefer this extract for that reason, is that it nullifies those very powerful stealing models.
Show me on the doll where Black Cat touched you.
It's right after the title of the ability where it doesn't say action in bold. That's right where it is. Everyone knows it should cost an action. Nobody's willing to say it but me.
I think lots of people are willing to say it but you.
The good news is they're going to restrict that action.
Oh, good.
That was actually my last joke comment in the last segment was I think Doc Voodoo and Black Cat are next on the unrestricted list.
I honestly would not be upset in the slightest.
Yeah.
I think that would be good for the game. But honestly, I think all abilities to remove extracts from characters should cost an action. Like, it is way too free. to do it, and everyone identifies it. They're like the 3 most played models in the fucking game. Like, it's no secret.
Yep. So I will agree with what you said with a caveat. You said you like the fact that Steelers can't just, take all your shit. I think the game is very viable at either the super killy version or the super wide extract stealing version at a competitive level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think killy wins by just a hair, to be honest, right now, current meta. Like, we're all talking about big boys. But, wide lists are doing very well, whether it's Sam. Ryan Farmer just won his LVO qualifier with Webs. Hellfire's doing well. So these lists that want to go wide pick up a bunch of points. X-Men have always been strong. So there's a lot of good, strong extract lists out there. And this is one way to curb them. Just like playing 5 wide extract is a way to curb tall lists. So I think they both need to exist in the game. So I'm not anti-stealing, right? But I do think that it is a check on a superior strategy. It also, like you said, you showed up to your game and the guy was like, I guess I'm fucked. I know Research Station exists. What am I going to build into my list to deal with that eventuality? Right? I'm playing Webs, okay? Maybe I want to make sure I have Daredevil. Maybe I want to have Agent Venom, like area attacks and beams. Maybe I want to bring Hulk. I don't know what my answer is, but I need to have one. It's one of the 18 things you have to plan for, whether it's centerline steals, punishing the center, playing wide, playing tall, playing on researcher, that all go into how you create your 10-person roster with your tactics cards. And if it was too easy, this game would be shit. So I cannot's hard. You often make tough choices, narrowing your team down to be able to deal with all of those eventualities. And Researcher is one in and of itself. So if you remove it from the game, list building becomes easier, and I don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say I don't think it is an auto loss for any team. Like, I might want to play wide. Oh, shit, I get to play into Mal and Researcher. I don't think it's not a loss. So
yeah, I agree. I don't think it's not a loss. I think, obviously, it's a dominant position that they're playing from. Just as if you get a 6 extract mission, or whatever it happens, like centers a 6, right? Yeah. So if you get a 6 extract mission, like, Malekith's at a disadvantage, right? Because he's going to be in the problem of the game's going to end so quickly, it's going to be hard for him to do enough work. And so they both like play off that same strategy. If I could expand on this, I would say that the biggest problem with our current meta is not actually that either anything being played is an unhealthy list. I think the problem is that we're lacking a third option. There's the super wide variant and the super tall killy variant, and those are both excelling right now. So you have the metas being pulled in 2 directions. But there's no C option. There's no third option that kind of balances it. And so instead of being a triangle, it's a straight line. And because of that, it's driving all of the list creation to the farthest points away from each other, to where everyone's building massive, super fast scoring or very tall, elite fighty. And the missions are determining a lot of the matchups. And so and I think that's why we're trending in unhealthy directions, because there isn't a balance. And where if we could get a circular meta going where because like Brotherhood, I think, is less viable now because they struggle to fight the super tall models, and they also struggle to fight the super wide lists that score really fast. And so it's like Web Warriors, same thing. They struggle against the super wides and they struggle against the super talls. A lot of our like Asgard type lists where it's like I'm taking 5 models, not 6, and I'm not taking 4. Like, they're getting preyed upon by both ends of this spectrum. And so, because of that, they're just shrinking the population of those, medium balanced lists. And I think there's very few of them left alive that are still being successful. And I think that's why this mission is viewed as a negative for some people, because if you're one of those, either of those other lists, and you get landed on Researcher, you're usually going to have a bad time. As where I think Malekith and the tall lists, Midnight Sun, stuff like that, need this mission just to be able to fight against those super wide lists. Like, if we were to say research is bad for the game, hypothetically, because I don't think we think it is, and we said on the opposite end, we're going to say senators and cubes and spider infected are bad for the game. And so let's move to a 3 or 4 token list or mission selection. And all the missions are between 3 and 4. I think we'd see a lot more interesting matchups because people aren't trying to be super polarizing. They're actually trying to meet in the middle a little bit more.
Do you guys agree with that the game is all super tall or super wide, and then that middle ground is just getting eaten alive and kind of like becoming extinct? Is that? And
just to be clear, I don't think those lists don't exist. I just think they're in the weakest spot they've ever been. We see Asgard and Brotherhood all over the place. Yep. Now we don't see any of them.
Yeah,
I concur.
Okay, I was just making sure that we all agree on that, because you said that's a pretty strong statement, and like I agree as well. But just checking to make sure we're all on the same page there. That's a good statement. I like that.
I'm not gonna lie. There's something that's rang out very true that I heard here first in our conversations with you guys is 5+ models great, 3+ models great, 4 models terrible decision. Just terrible.
We've always said that.
What are you guys, an idiot?
And you guys have said that.
Why don't you just go kill yourself?
Right.
You're like,
right.
What?
And you guys have said that for a long time. That's usually those conversations are around keeping priority, and that's like we're talking about priority in that conversation. But that's something I think about all the time. I go, well, I need to go wide or I need to go tall, and if I'm going with 4 models, I better have a really, really, really good reason to do it. And
can I expand?
And I was just going to say that.
Go for it.
Right now, I think a lot of lists that like to go 4 are the ones we've called before fair, like they're fair lists, and so those are just kind of they're feeling preyed upon right now. I think that's true, but I feel like prototypically, traditionally across this game, it's only till recently we felt like there have been like 4.5, 4.5 point models. We've got for a long period of the game, we felt like 4-point models were not as good as 3-point models. Just take a 3-pointer instead of a 4-pointer. And so wide felt great. And some 7-point models will come out now that feel really overtuned. And you're like, okay, well, 7 feels great. And I don't know how many people have tried to sit down yet and take all the best 4s and put them in a list. I don't know if we see that yet, but maybe somebody's tried.
So to expand on what I was saying earlier about the polarizing lists and like there's no middle ground, it's all on opposite ends. Going back to kind of what we talked about in the pre-ramble is the reason we used to say 3 or 5, don't go 4, like you want to do wide or tall, you don't want to do in the middle, is because at the beginning of the game, that's really how it worked. But also those lists just generally didn't have an identity because there weren't good enough 4-pointers to really justify it. You're basically just playing 4 overpriced 3-pointers. And now that we have good 4-pointers, I think that we went through this weird trend of like fair lists were the weakest they had ever been about 6 months into the game. And then because they started doing stuff, they started releasing better models. The medium fight fair list with spider foes coming out and criminals coming out started really catching traction. And they actually, I think, about 6 months to a year ago, were actually in a really healthy place. Like Weapon X had just come out. There was a bunch of good 4-pointers on the horizon. Criminals had all kinds of new toys. Like we were trending in a very healthy direction. I feel like around LVO time, most of the meta was represented. And sure, mutants were coming in hot because there's a bunch of new releases. But I think it was actually we saw the biggest variety of the game we had ever seen late last year. And now I feel like we're trending downwards, and the middle's dropping out again, and people are spreading back out to those original super binary lists where it's max models, max scoring, or max death, max tall. And it's really nowhere in between. And this is, an example of the trend. It's not like nobody's playing Asgard. Like, people play these affiliations. It's not like it's the end of the world. I'm not trying to say that. I just think we're trending in an unhealthy direction, which obviously is going to change as soon as new stuff comes out. I'm just voicing my observations. But mainly looking at the WTC pairings and all that stuff and list building has really got me noticing it more than ever, because I generally have my head in the sand. I don't absorb online content. I generally just, whatever I see is what I absorb. And so I'm seeing a lot more of like the trends that I have before. And so I'm seeing a lot of this static list building where everyone's doing the same thing, and it's really, I don't know, it's not like depressing, but it's just kind of like a lack. I'm more excited to play the game than I have been in a while, but also like I feel like list building is more dry than it's been in a long time. Like the lists are kind of getting solved.
I'll also say, speaking as someone who's played Research Station, and I was playing no models above 4 costers, like it is possible to want to play Research and also not to play 3 models, because you don't want your opponent to win on points. You're trying to attrition with a bunch of wides. I'm talking about Shadowlands Daredevil. Like, he loves Research Station because people can stand on tokens and not even get points, and I still get to reroll dice. The ninja can contest the researcher, which just feels broken. Like, Shadowlands Daredevil's list loves research, and he's not even planning on scoring it that much. He just wants to kill you while you're trying to score. And he does play a lot of smaller models typically. So there are reasons to see wider affiliations take research if you're trying to slow down your opponent in any way, or for any reason.
In response to what you just said, Brandon, I will. I think there are still innovators out there who are continuing to build answers to meta lists. Now, the game would have to be stagnant for a long time to see if it actually gets quote-unquote solved, right? And I don't think the game's ever going to be stagnant long enough to get there, which differs a little bit with what I said last year when I think it was solved in that an archetype had been solved, but not an actual list, if you will. So I have taken kind of some, good news away that despite the fact that, the big boys are running around killing stuff, and then you've got the wide list stealing stuff and nothing in between, there's still innovation happening, and I think that's great. And then if the game does get some sort of update in the near future, then it'll just like you said with LVO. Like LVO was 2 months after the November update with all the crises. It was just a Wild West. No one knew what was going on. Just put shit on the table and see what happens. It was awesome.
It's really fun.
So, if there is another update, maybe it's not as big as that. Maybe it is. Maybe we get new missions in 6 months, in a year. I don't know. But I think there will always be something that's going to just completely throw the meta on its head, which is great. Every couple months we get to change a couple dice, and then every year or so we get to just take all the dice and throw them like in Yahtzee. Anyway, so bottom line is I think there is innovation happening right now, even in the current quote-unquote relatively stagnant meta, and it makes my heart sing a little bit.
Now, I have a question because I think I missed the initial impetus for the topic of is researcher good or bad? Is somebody yelling about researcher, or did somebody have a negative experience with researcher?
Some people do.
It's a very binary mission. Generally, people love it or hate it. So that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I guess coming from a mostly attrition background, I've always appreciated it. But that's
same.
If you imagine, look at Gamma, right? So if you have Gamma in your list, a lot of times people will be like, I can't choose blue because you have Gamma, so I have to take my blue and we'll take your reds. I mean, it's basically saying Gamma, right? Like you're doing double Gammas.
Yeah, I definitely think Researcher is more divisive than Gamma is. Gamma has definitely been curved out a lot with the update. And Researcher has too. Research used to be freaking, it was like a knife fight in a phone booth. It was brutal. And so now it's a lot more like now that there's not the I can ignore the rest of the missions, like you have to play both missions, even though Researcher is so one-dimensional. And so, like Parker said earlier, it's like if you get a D, now you have to start really thinking about long-term effects of where you're putting your models if your list isn't very good at redeploying. And so, like, it really gets you thinking, I think. I appreciate Researcher for that reason, is because it's a change of pace, it's a breath of fresh air. It's not just the same old, get your safe extractors and run away, and it's just like, oh man, come on guys, can we please just play a normal game? And which is the crazy part, because the weirdest mission in the entire game is what actually causes the most straightforward games, where it's just like, well, let's just meet in the middle and figure it out. And it's, it doesn't always go the way you expect, but it seems very intuitive.
The only thing I don't care for when you do get a Gamma Researcher is you have an entire table space, and usually you don't get to play with it, and that's not so great. But it is what it is.
Cool. Does anybody have any other points?
I was going to say, says you. I think I lost a game once because my opponent scored like 14 points, but I tabled him down to like half a Wong, and so he ran to the corner of the board and lived on like 1 health on turn 6. And I was like, huh. Well, I guess we got to explore the space anyway, didn't we?
You know what would have been good for that? Playing Special Delivery.
Yeah, I was not playing A-Force at the time, but yeah.
Judas.
Yeah, what was I doing? What was I
thought
thinking?
You were the A-Force guy.
I was. I suppose I still am.
I suppose. Parker, I'm going to give you something that, and you're going to know that this is like swallowing like a broken piece of glass for me.
Ooh.
But I actually considered putting A-Force in our WTC lists.
Ooh. As like an option?
Yeah. No, it's not an option.
Okay.
No, but I was looking at it and be like, you know what really doesn't use that many characters from another list? A-Force.
Yeah, when I went to that team, just that team event we had here, I said just that team event, but one of the biggest team events in the history of the country we had here in Kansas City.
I'm worried I'm going to quote it wrong, but I think it was 48 players.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah, but even with that huge event, on that team, it was so easy to build an A-Force roster with 2 other people. It was.
Well, it's harder with 4 other people.
It is harder with 4.
But yeah, dude, it is complex. Like we were sitting there for a while, like we just can't play this entire affiliation. Like it takes so many key models to play this good list. And yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that more another time.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more researcher points? Nope. Okay. Cool. We will transition into our next mini topic. Currently playing. So any of you guys got anything in the works? Got any spicy dojo tech?
I would like to let everyone know, and for those that are following along, I think.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Your mic's muted.
No.
Can you unmute your mic?
Yeah.
Just press the mute button and then
okay.
say what you're gonna say.
Cool.
I wonder where you're going with that.
Hold on, let me just cross off this next segment, which is let Jeremy tell people about the league. All right, now go ahead.
Are you done?
Nope.
Fury is over. Me and Shield have broken up.
Mm-hmm.
We did what we could. We tried to make it last. Promises were made. Relationships were had. It just wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went 20-something and 2. It's the most losing I've ever done in any game in my entire life.
Oh, you mean 2 and 20?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes
backwards.
Okay.
It's because it was so sad that the first number I said was the most important. Was the number of losses.
I do remember you had a stretch where you went like 0 and 16,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you
it
were
was
like, like, should I quit the game? Like, it's
Yeah.
just like it changed your life.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you. I thought you were doing well with Shield. I didn't realize it was that bad.
Rent a gun, buy a bullet. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's done. It's over. And every game, like, I'm like, okay, so this is going okay, and then it went bad, and then not only would the games go bad, it would entirely shit the bed on me. Like, everybody would just basically point their weapons to their face and shoot themselves in the head and kill themselves and bury their own corpses on the field.
Wow.
Like, are you all fucking serious? Are you guys just done? Like, just unbelievable. Whatever. So some affiliations just aren't for certain people, and Shield is not for me. Like,
we did a whole episode on just play styles and how important it is
Yeah.
to play what's your style.
and looking at the cards and all this stuff, I never would have picked them up. It was just a handful of models that I never used, and I wanted to try it. There it is. It's done. It's over with. But I'm back on Cabal. I actually have some spicy stuff in there. I know I'm going to hate myself later, but I have a spicy Dormammu tech in there as well.
That's not Cabal, I feel I should tell you.
No, it's not. But
Okay.
it's a hot, spicy drop that I just enjoy him too much.
All right.
As
So
a
I'm just
drop.
confirming. So you've got Dormammu, Malekith. Is Immortal Hulk in there?
No.
No? It's just
No.
regular Hulk then.
There's no Hulk.
No Hulk,
There's
okay.
no Hulk.
All right, so now I'd like to give you a moment to talk about how important your under 5 league is, and go ahead and explain to people why it's good to play not 6-pointers.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done with this. That's what I'm doing.
Is this the Limbo League because it's like the dimension of Limbo, or? It's okay.
The list I gave you is the list I'll be playing this weekend. I pull the big guys out, and I put in Hellfire Club, and also add in Lizard instead of Malekith. So we're good to go.
Cool.
Yep, I've never played Hellfire Club, so we're good.
There you go. Yeah, that actually looks pretty fun. Parker, do you have a dojo for me?
Yeah, I've been staring at Hydra actually for a while, because as I've been accumulating models, like waiting for my Asgardian stuff that I wanted to play, playing this Avengers list, I've slowly been, accruing a few Hydra models. And I looked the other day and I was like, wait a minute, I have everything for a Hydra list I put together a long time ago, but I'm missing a 10th model. I want you to know that after playing your Hydra with Baron Strucker and Venom, I am doing that because I want to do that to somebody else very, very badly.
God!
This is something
I
want to Brandon someone. For those of you who don't know, Brandon once made me feel bad for playing the game against him because he played
just once.
He played. This has been many times, but he played Baron Strucker with Venom, and he goes, "I think Venom's going to be really good in this affiliation." I go, "Yeah, it should have synergies." And he played Lethal Protector, which is the card you take with Venom. And I was like, okay, well, he Lethal Protector, and he ended up healing, off of his regular attacks.
Can I finish the story?
I'll let you tell me. I'll let you say the next time I attacked you what you played next, which I just for some reason never imagined you could do. What was the tactics card you also played besides the Protector?
Sacrifice.
You played Sacrifice. Just to make sure that I could only attack Venom ever.
Well, the best part is the logic train that happens. Okay, he's out of range for Sacrifice. I attack Strucker. Cool. Lethal Protector. Damn it. It's now I can kill him, though. Sacrifice. Shit.
Just nothing. Oh, no, I wasn't attacking Strucker. I was attacking Zemo. And by the way,
whoever it was. Yeah.
And by the way, Venom was re-rolling one the entire time.
Yeah.
And it was...
He's a strategic genius.
And he was constantly bleeding everything. I basically just gave up killing Venom, but then he just killed everything or moved everything.
Yeah.
It was so he is my A number one take. I've also played a little bit of Hydra before, back when they were all unpainted as gray blobs, and so I have some other models, but I don't have a 10th model. Help me.
Omega Red. Wait, hold on. Do you already have Crimson Dynamo?
No, but that makes some sense.
Oh my god. So I actually, this is going to sound just like the worst statement in the history of the world. I stopped playing Venom.
What?
I play Omega Red and Crimson Dynamo.
Crimson Dynamo makes a ton of sense.
So Crimson Dynamo is literally an auto include, automatic. He is in every Hydra list that isn't on a D.
Scratch out list. Sorry, scratch out Hydra.
Crimson Dynamo should be in almost every roster. Anyway, moving on. In Hydra, he is literally insane. But you combine him with Omega Red, and it's super funny, because now you've got two people that poison everyone around them. So if you get, Mayor Fisk, you turn one, Red Skull moves up, and you play World Dom. So everyone gets an extra power, and you get a victory point. Next, you move up with Omega Red onto one of the points. And now anyone who moves to that point gets poisoned and stunned for the next turn, which is hilarious. Then your opponent will move to the other side to avoid being poisoned by Omega Red. And when Omega Red poisons them on their turn, he heals one, which is hilarious. And then, so they all move to their side. Then Strucker walks up and does death, or the virus, and poisons all the people on that side. And so now their entire list is poisoned, and most of their list is stunned. And then they're just like, what do I do now? And the answer is, you don't do anything, you die. Because then everyone gets shocked by Dynamo. And then it's just you're poisoned, shocked, bleeding. It's just insane. It's so many negative effects. It's hilarious.
Omega Red is pulsing the whole time, causing 2 damage.
Yeah, and Omega Red is doing auto damage to people who are only gaining 1 power from it and not powering up. So they're just going back to normal power up.
Omega Red, I do have,
and he's healing 3 or 4 points a turn. Yeah, with DR.
Another model that I played once and I really loved it, and I think it's another one of those eyes on the prize people that people don't think is an eye on the prize person, like Cable in Avengers. Is Ronan. Ronan with a Power Stone actually can play Eye on the Prize and pick up 2 if you really wanted him to. and then you have to go track him down in that affiliation where he's healing, and then if you kill him to exactly 1, he can hit you back and then heal 1 and not die. It just it becomes a loop pinata that's very difficult to pop if you needed him to do that very specific job.
Hold on. How does he? I'm confused. How does he heal?
Because when he goes down,
he gives you stagger or shock, depending
yeah,
on which weapon he uses.
Right.
But you're still dazed, right?
No,
Yes.
We actually stared at this. I remember that Jeremy and I came into this exact problem in a tournament, and you came and helped us. We stared at it for a while, and we came to the conclusion that he comes back to life if he takes exactly 1 damage, because he heals 1.
No, so you can't take damage beyond your health bar. So, like, if you did 10 damage to him, it would just trigger the daze.
So
and then his effect would happen. But you don't remove the daze token. That's why Blood Despair, is it? That it specifically says if you if you have health, you remove the daze token. Or you're not dazed, or whatever it is. And so that's why, I believe.
Okay, so we played this wrong at a tournament once.
It's possible we could have played it wrong in the past, but...
Because we stared at it for a long time, trying to figure out what it was. It says, if an enemy effect would cause this character to be dazed or KO'd, so it's he's never dazed or KO'd.
But at the end of the effect, it says...
After the effect is resolved, you may use the superpower. The character immediately advances short, and may make 1 attack targeting the character that caused the effect. Then this character is dazed or KO'd. But when you hit him with Kree Justice, you automatically stun and stagger. So,
right. So that's the question. Your health total is not in question. It's the fact that your own special says you are now dazed or KO'd. So using it guarantees the daze or KO. It's because it's part of the effect.
But he heals 1 before he's dazed or KO'd?
Yeah, so you daze with 1 hit point.
So yeah, then he would be dazed.
There's a precedent for that.
If field dressing would allow it, you would be at 2 health instead of 1.
Yeah. But just like the old all you've got says you're dazed at the end of the effect, even if you're at full health, you're still dazed. Like the daze token isn't removed. And so because your effect says then this character is dazed, is like future proofing, saying that you can't heal as a result of the attack.
That doesn't mean that they didn't rule it the other way on the rules form.
Sure. Yeah. No, I 100% believe they would contradict plain black and white wording on the rules form. I don't disagree with that at all. They, in fact, do commonly. The only thing they refuse to answer is what orientation the car is in after you throw it. That's the only thing they won't tell me. I keep asking.
How much damage you take from falling off a building. I also want to know that.
I legitimately think if you want a rule to work a certain way, you should just continually ask it on the rules forum until one of the moderators messes up and answers it the way you want, and then use that as your precedent. But yeah, so you cannot come back to life as a result of attacking with Ronin. That's all I wanted to point out.
Oh. I thought, because with like a super giant and Blood Despair, you do get to come back to life, correct?
It specifically says in the tactics card you may.
Right.
It says if this character has health, then it is not dazed.
Okay.
Specifically stops it as part of the card.
Oh.
So if he was in Black Order, you could do that effect, but you can't do it with the Hydra leadership.
So he's healed but dazed.
Yeah, you just daze with a hit point, which there's precedent for in the game happening. Daze tokens don't need you to be at 0 health.
Right.
It's just going to 0 health is what triggers you gaining a daze token, and then in this example, you're now gaining an additional daze token by using your Accuser ability.
Well, you wouldn't gain it until after the Accuser ability expires.
Correct.
But you are correct. You heal a damage and gain a daze token.
Yeah. In that order.
Yes.
So we
actually, you could choose. They're both after the effect is resolved.
So we misplayed that once. That's fine. You were tired.
Not that it matters in the least, but I actually think you don't get to choose. I think you gain it after you heal, because it's not an after effect is resolved, gain a daze token. It says perform the attack, then gain a daze token. So it actually happens after all attack effects.
Okay, fine.
Well, at any rate, there are lots of characters you can play that 10th spot, but clearly the 10th spot
it's still a good effect, right?
Yeah.
The cool thing I like about it is that you don't actually drop the objective tokens until after you make the attack. So if you daze them back, they can't pick them up, and then it goes to your turn and you go get them. Mm-hmm. And so if you have 2 hammers, it's actually really scary to kill him, because he's coming in with 9 dice, auto stun and stagger.
It's
10 dice, auto stun and stagger. That's super scary. He's very likely to kill somebody.
Yeah, but I think
you have to move. You don't have to move towards the person, right? Couldn't you back up?
Yeah, you can absolutely just.
So it's like pseudo fallback,
and you could leave and do any attack. So he has a ranged attack. You could leave and do a ranged attack if you wanted to.
Yeah,
so
which pushes on a wild, I think.
I think that one shocks.
Universal weapon.
It's his hammer that pushes. It's the shock.
It's a push on his gun.
Oh, it's a push on his gun.
And it shocks on damage.
That's it. Yeah.
Push on wild up to size 4. Shock on damage. Immediate advance is short. Yeah, it's omnidirectional advance. It's short, and so you get a free fallback. You could play fallback on top of that, and just back up 2 shorts. And there's like, good luck getting those tokens. God damn it.
Yeah,
he's actually a really good Volt.
He is
because he's beefy too.
It's an idea. He
Romans actually get a lot more play now with Hellfire too.
Yeah. At any rate, I think it's Crimson Dynamo. Is there a tactics card that Hydra really wants that I haven't thought of yet?
What do you got?
World Domination, obviously. I have Inevitable Betrayal. It's more of a meme, but maybe it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Lethal Protector, Sacrifice, because I'm going to play for them.
Yeah.
Brace for Impact, Exceptional Healing, Mission Objective, Eyes of the Prize. Right now it's for Red Skull because he can technically play it.
Yep.
Fallback. Is there a card that they really, really want?
Kick them when they're down is fun if you get in a matchup versus like a Malekith or a Thanos, because it actually makes you scary against those characters. I would also consider if you do make the swap for Omega Red, you should definitely put in Carbonadium Synthesizer. I think is underrated. It's basically Children of the Atom, but also you heal 1 for every token you remove. So you can just intentionally pile up a bunch of negative effects and cleanse them to heal. So he can heal like 6 damage around. I like Patch Up. I don't think everyone else does, but I like it.
I had Brace for now. I think Brace probably better.
What's your other restricted?
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, that's right. Yeah, that's fine. I like that. Brace and Sacrifice is good. The only reason I would focus on Patch Up more is because you don't have any size 4 people. You barely even have size 3 people that get thrown around. Mm-hmm. And so that allows you to put more hit points into Red Skull. Because he can be immune to collisions, and so it's not really important for Brace to keep him alive. And so I think it's fine. I also think Exceptional Healing is a bit of a stretch. I don't think you need it with my experience. Because he's like, you're only playing it on a random 3-pointer that doesn't have his like anything really special about his defense, and so most people don't target Strucker anyway.
That's true. I don't think. I think that was actually left over back when the list had. I used to run a package with
like X-23,
X-23, Honey Badger, and Arnim Zola. So try to do his scientific method, and that's a total meme. It doesn't work nearly as well as I think it will.
It is a meme.
Yeah.
It is not a terrible meme, but it's a meme. Yeah. So I think you have a few options there.
Okay.
Aaron, do you have a new fun tech you've been messing with?
I've been playing Midnight Suns. I don't know if that's new or fun, but it has been a blast.
Well, that's good.
I have no idea what I'm going to play this weekend.
Nice. I'm going to take credit for this list, but Aaron definitely is a co-conspirator. I am calling this list the Web of Evil. Aaron probably knows what I'm talking about. We've been toying with a Web Warriors Cabal dual affiliation list, and I'm very excited to give it a try.
You're missing a great opportunity. It clearly should be called Dark Web, right?
Dark Web? No, Web of Evil. 100%. I like Web of Evil way more.
Okay.
It just feels like someone's pouring syrup over the globe.
Ooh, what about Web of Lies? I like that.
No, Web of Evil.
Okay.
100% Web of Evil.
All right.
It's like the Masters of Evil if they're all Web Warriors. Yeah, anyway. Parker, do you have a comic corner for us today?
Yes, I do. This comic corner is a big departure from my usual ones. The reason why is I'm going to highlight a new writer, at least new to the Marvel Universe, and a new penciler and colorist. She does both with the new Scarlet Witch title. It's a 2023 title, so it's brand spanking new. I think graphic novels are coming out here pretty soon, but you can get a lot of the issues on Marvel Unlimited. They have 7 issues out right now. The reason I'm highlighting it is about Scarlet Witch, which she doesn't often get her own story. The writer, his name is Steve Orlando, and he is a young writer just new to the Marvel Universe. he's been doing some of the stuff in the Marauders stuff post Krakoa mutant things. I'll talk about probably some other comic corner, but he pinned a new chapter in Scarlet Witch's saga called the Darkhold, in which she confronts Chthon, which is if you're familiar with the Multiverse of Madness, and there was a dark god that Scarlet Witch in that movie was getting power from, then that is the god ostensibly that they're referencing. And in the Darkhold miniseries, just I think 2 or 3 comics, Scarlet Witch finally confronts Chthon and basically subsumes his essence into herself. And she is now really a king shit of Fuck Mountain. And so rather than, joining the Avengers or, going off and fighting cosmic characters, she has now opened a shop, like a curio shop. And it has some real magical items inside. Just she's selling them ostensibly. But this is all just a front for the door in the back of her shop, because she's installed in this curio shop a door that only opens to people that need help. So if they're in some serious need of intense help and they move through any doorway in the universe, even in like the microverse, they will emerge into the Scarlet Witch's shop, and she will find out what kind of help they need, and she will offer help to them. She basically created this cool way for people to get help from her, and so she doesn't have to fly around or wait for Avengers notifications. She can just help people as they need it. And so it's a Monster of the Week comic. It's really fun to read. It's one of the things about comics that a lot recently, a lot of them are serials where you have to read from the very, very beginning to the very, very end and pay very close attention, because there's a long, continuous story that's basically just been broken up by months and individual issues. But this is not. Each one is kind of a self-contained story that has a few themes that run in between, but it's just really fun to watch her solve supernatural and mundane problems. She loops in some other Marvel characters to help solve ones that she feels are outside of her wheelhouse. Sarah Pichelli, who's another brand new person in the Marvel Universe, she pencils it, and she has an awesome style that's perfect, I think, for the tone of this. She has redesigned the Scarlet Witch to have a really cool arcane, like, miasma thing that comes off of her, like, at all times when she's using her powers, and I think it just looks fantastic. And she's definitely, in my opinion, not even close, the coolest looking Scarlet Witch that's ever existed, and she's had lots of different remodels. But if you want to just read a really fun, well done Monster of the Week kind of adventure with Scarlet Witch, just helping people, being a good person, try to atone for some of the worst things she's done without having a giant chip on her shoulder. I like that the writer Steve Orlando doesn't write her like she's this very broken doll, like she's been pinned by a lot of people. She's very much a person who has full control over her faculties, but she's also interested in making good on some of the things she's done. So it's really, really, really good story, beginning, middle, and end. I'm really excited. I hope it continues for a long time. Right now we're only in 7 issues, but I want to keep seeing it going and going. It's fun to read.
Cool. Sounds fun.
It is.
I think that's going to wrap it up for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you guys at Show Me Showdown in Lee Summit, Missouri. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Jeremy.
And Aaron.
And you just listened to The Gang Does Some Research.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.
Ooh,
And we're back.
I felt like the
I'm back.
count there was a little slow on that last one. I'll accept
Who was? Who what? What was slow?
Like it was very tempo was accurate into the last group. It was like 1, 2, 3, and you're doing a good job. And the last one, 1, 2, 3. I was like, what?
You understand what lag spikes are, right? Which is why we do it 3 times.
Yeah. But
Okay,
what I don't understand is how you do this so badly, is what I'm saying.
The time dilation is a real thing.
Uh-huh.
That's why sometimes it sounds to me like you guys clap a full 4 seconds early, but it's usually Jeremy.
Whoa. Yeah.
So Brandon has poor cadence and Jeremy comes early. Okay.
Yep.
I've never came early.
Whoa. I came exactly when I wanted to.
I came when I was supposed to.
Real quick, before we get to business at hand, Jeremy, I was told today that it felt like I stole your soul.
What?
With the 4-year-old joke that we did a couple weeks ago. Like how parents don't recognize their kids. They've never seen them before.
Oh, yeah.
My roommate told me that he listened to that and he like remarkably scoffed in front of other people while he was listening to something on his headphones.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, that is not something you're allowed to say to people.
But yes, it's I can't even begin. I don't know how this has started, but it could end at any time, and I would appreciate it.
It's only going to end.
I know it'll end. It will never end until I'm dead. I understand.
Well, brain dead. If you're in a coma and the doctor tells me there is a 0.0000001% chance that you could hear, I would be at your bedside once a week with a dad joke.
Nice.
I think actually it's important. It'd be like a smelling salt, maybe. Like one day.
Yeah, no,
like
because I'm going to shock you awake.
You
it's
would
like
do
the
it and you
movie
would
Miss
hear
March.
like a groan, like,
Yeah. I think he's up, guys. Like, we got him.
Just when I thought I didn't have anyone out there that was, cared about me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know. No one actually does.
Good. Did you see the movie Miss March?
No.
Guy slips into a coma. The movie's actually pretty funny. It's very offensive, but it's very funny. So a guy slips into a coma, and his idiot friend waits by him for like 5 years. And then after 5 years, he's like, well, he's probably just brain dead. And so he hits him in the head with a baseball bat in an attempt to jumpstart his body, and it actually works.
Oh, God.
And then he wakes up and the movie starts, basically. And the whole point of the movie is he wants to go get his high school girlfriend back because they were like engaged when he got into a coma.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's a Playboy cover model. And so they drive across the country to try and win her back.
Okay.
It's pretty funny. Anyway, Parker, you had some business. Let's talk business.
Okay, so first, if I have some movies for our movie list that I think are questionable, like they could qualify as superhero movies, but maybe they don't, how do we discuss that? Do we do it like before we give the list? Because one of my top 3 is in that group, so I didn't know. Mm-hmm. How do I know I can't?
I would say when you're putting it forward, you're like, hey guys, I want to put this movie forward. I think it counts as a superhero movie, and then we get a chance to veto it after you get like an argument.
Okay. Second question. I would love, and Jeremy also said he would enjoy, being able to give some honorable mentions, like just quick list, like not talk about them or discuss them, just be able to
Well, that's why I think it's good to bring extras, because like I said, if we all name the same movie, like let's say we all said the original Daredevil with Ben Affleck, which is obviously not a spoiler because we're not going to name that.
Fuck.
But if we all said that as an example, we go 4 for 4 with that movie, it gets kicked off the list and we have to name another one.
Well, I agree.
Can I just start with that one?
Yeah, Daredevil.
But I actually had
Electra
some on this. But I actually had some on this list that after I started doing like some deep diving into all the superhero movies I could possibly think of, I came up with some really fun ones. But I was like, I don't think this is my top 3. But man, it would be great to be able to talk about these and find out if you guys have seen them. But
so the other option we could do is a draft format where we just start. Nobody can effectively name the same thing because we're drafting movies. And so, like, we just say hypothetically, Jeremy goes first, then me, then Parker, then Aaron. And then Aaron would get another pick and we'd go in reverse. And we'd go until we had each picked 3. And then we could, that way there's no duplication.
I disagree. I mean, your
Okay.
concept
You
is
don't
right.
want to do that.
Yes.
You don't want to do that, you're saying?
Right, because I think if we agree, like 2 of us agree, that's a data point.
Yeah.
I agree.
So we're not
But
trying
also,
to
like,
give...
yeah.
This should just be a fun little snippet of our take on X genre. I don't think we're coming up with the 12 best superhero movies, which would be it would be something else we could do. But I just think keeping it short and sweet.
That's why I was going to say like honorable mentions. Just like literally say I have honorable mentions.
So after we do the top threes, after we've decided, then we can just say the ones we were had in the wings that were ready.
Okay, that's great. Honorable, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Because I was curious.
Now, what was the thing you were trying to get Jeremy on board with that he refused to be on board with?
No, that was it.
That was it?
That was it?
I don't think that was it.
Well, he was just trying to... certainly got way more complicated than I imagined it. Therefore, the we that was involved, I'm glad that I bailed out, because I'm not involved in any of that.
Jeremy didn't want any part of that shit.
No, I just wanted to make sure that honorable mentions was available, which I don't need permission to just spill out a whole bunch of fucking movies, because I would just do that.
Yeah, that's obviously fine.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm back. I did have an interview for a chef. Came in today, and looks like my life will be quasi-normal. Yeah, back to normal, kind of again.
Wait, hold on. Did you already do the background check?
Who knows?
Because
no.
I know the odds of you. This guy's probably a serial killer, and like not just a serial killer, an escaped from prison serial killer that's already been convicted.
Nah, he actually.
Wait.
Yeah. No, he currently works for another retirement community, which means he passes basically everything that we have to do.
Yeah, he knows the job.
Yeah. So, that's all good. So, I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah. So, my month and a half of the hell trek, or whatever that I was been gone through, I don't know why I earned it, but it's coming to a close, thank God.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you excited for the Limbo League starting tomorrow?
I swear to God, you know that's fucking not what it's called. Will you stop it?
I think there's a miscommunication here, so I think it's important to clear this up. So you're starting a league tomorrow that's a 5 and under street level league. I'm starting a Limbo League that runs parallel to it, but we only allow 4.9 and lower because we're just underneath where you are.
If I had a brick and I could throw a brick through my computer monitor and smash your teeth in, that's how angry you make me with this kind of shit. I set these dominoes up over the course of time, and you fucking undermine me. Make me insane with your bullshit. I can't ignore your nonsense forever. I just cannot.
I'm just trying to prepare you for real life.
Oh my God. When I grow up, okay.
I go in my office to do my podcast. I shut the door, and my dog has now gotten the door open, is now laying down beside me because he feels lonely when I'm doing the podcast. So if you hear dog noises, my dog wants to be on the podcast.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I listened to the podcast last week.
The one you missed?
Uh-huh.
Nice. I usually make fun of Parker for specifically not listening to the ones that he misses. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You could have been on board.
I actually sometimes...
You could have known exactly what happened.
I still listen every once in a while just to kind of... Because basically when you're on the podcast, I don't know how much you guys realize it, but I don't tend to listen in like the same way as you're listening to a podcast when you're on it, right? You're focused on
100%. Like, yeah. No, it's just like us bullshitting. And then going back and listening to it, you're like, wow, that was like not really a topic.
Yeah.
That was just kind of rambling.
Yeah. So, yeah, it actually turned out, it was pretty good. I listened to the whole thing. It was interesting. So, kudos on that topic. I definitely wasn't sure when you told me about it if it was going to work out, but it was good.
I was really worried it didn't work, honestly. Like, I was like, nah, man, that did not feel good. Like, that felt messy and awkward, and I was not sure where it was going.
It did what we normally do. It derailed a little bit, but it's fine.
I listened to our last cast as well, and I was all about it. I think it was one of our really strongest casts. We had a bunch of different moments in there where we were doing really quality stuff. I liked it a lot. Talking about like times when while I'm doing the cast, I have no idea how much I'm doing or not doing. Sometimes my comic corners are really succinct and to the point to do a great job, like a book talk. Last cast was not one of those.
I picked up on that.
I went way too long, and I was just like,
I was like, he is just going for it today.
It's because I was super excited, and it was very difficult to tell about the book, and I could have done a much better job being succinct. I didn't prepare anything though, and so that was.
It was very difficult to listen to as well.
Yeah.
It was really long, man. That one was a long one. You went for it.
And usually I do not do that. I found that
No,
most of
you
the time
don't.
they're like 4 minutes long and they're fine. But that one was not. I was like, well,
So I don't know if you guys know this. When we record in 4 separate channels, so I can clean up the audio independently of each other, the tracks stretch just because like the write speed of your computers. And so when we first started doing this, Jeremy's would be off by like 20%. It was insane because his computer just couldn't keep up.
Yeah,
because it just had really slow write speed because it's a 15-year-old laptop or whatever it was. And so I would have to expand his audio. But anyone knows, if you speed up audio, guess what it sounds like? Chipmunks on helium, usually. Like, it's ridiculous. So what you actually have to do is change the tempo, not change the speed that it plays the audio at. And so it's different ways of stretching the audio. And so what I'll do next time when Parker does that is I'll just actually fast forward the audio, and he'll just like and just like run through the whole thing.
Yeah, I said everything I needed to say in the last like 2 minutes, and all the stuff before that was just rambling. But yeah, I decided to forgive myself.
You know what they say? Come for the comic corner, die of old age.
Yeah,
like, that's what they say.
I actually need one for today. I don't have one yet. I've been staring at it, trying to figure it out.
So how is the level 100 Diablo going? Are you just done? Did you put it away?
He uninstalled, didn't he?
I did not uninstall, but I have
Did you
not played
uninstall?
it. No. So my family's been around because it's summer.
Yeah.
In the past week, we have been binge watched seasons 1 and 2 of Ted Lasso.
Nice. Ted Lasso's good.
Yeah, my daughter cannot stop cracking up during the entire episodes. So
My brother swears by it, man. He tells me it's the best show ever made.
It's got really good dialogue writing.
If you haven't seen it, you absolutely should.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I'm kind of saving it. I currently am in the middle of several shows, and I had mentioned before watching The Bear on Hulu. Man, that's such a good show. Season 2 is on, and it's just as good or better. So
I didn't realize that the main actor is the guy from Kick-Ass.
No.
It's not?
No.
I thought it was. I found that out.
No, the main actor is from Shameless. It's the older boy from Shameless. It is not.
I was about to search The Bear. It's literally on the top page.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
My wife and I are watching it because it was one of like 12 that I was considering, and she wanted something that was more comedic. And under Hulu, it shows up under comedy.
Oh, it's not.
That's fucking wrong. So that's false advertising right there.
It's drama.
But we stuck through it. It is definitely drama. It is a good show, but when you put it on expecting comedy, because that's the genre it says it is, after like 3 episodes, looked at each other like, huh, well, we're pot committed, might as well finish the season. And it was good.
It moves at a good clip. Like, the show is a good clip. It's only 30-minute episodes, which is nice these days, being that most shows are fucking long as hell.
I guess he's not. He just looks like that guy.
Yeah, it's a Shameless dude.
Yeah, he's definitely in Shameless. He's in actually a surprising amount of stuff I think I've actually seen. So he's in movie 43. Oh, he's the homeschooled kid from movie 43. Oh, that movie was so funny.
So season 2 of The Bear, like, since season 1 was so popular, there's a million actors that are in season 2. Everybody has jumped on board. Like, tons of cameos and stuff. It's really cool. Yeah.
It's kind of surprising how often that happens. Like, shows become popular and all of a sudden everybody's in it.
And I mean, they do such a good job. Like, there's tons, like, there's an episode in season 2 that's just actor worthy, like, of Oscars all around. Like, you're watching it going, this is unbelievable. It's just one episode of, like, a Christmas kind of thing, and it's crazy.
So, Aaron, I'm on season 4 of iZombie. I think I'm like halfway through season 4.
Sure.
Moving right along.
It is picking up. The plot is getting better, and it's less Monster of the Week, which is great. The acting's holding up pretty good. So far, I think one of my favorite parts was Macho Man Randy Savage Major. That was fun.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
Is he actually Macho Man in there?
He does like
so when the zombies eat brains, they take on the personalities and get memories of the people they eat. And so he eats what is supposed to be Macho Man's brain.
Oh god.
And so he acts like Macho Man for a solid 10 minutes.
Worth it.
So I don't remember everything in there, right? So we watched it. I just thought the premise was so cute, just like what you said. So like they have like fine dining restaurants that cater to zombies where you can like select the brain, the experience you want to have based off of the brain who you're going to eat. So
god.
Yeah.
And in one of the
it's all in
season 2 that one of the characters on the show is like a bad guy, and he basically gets hired to kill an astronaut so that he can sell the brain to one of his like high-end clients. Because he wants to know what it's like to walk on the moon. So he kills, like, the 4th guy who walked on the moon and then tries to feed it to this other dude.
But this is all in a, teeny bopper WC type setting.
Yeah.
So
it's very Buffy-esque,
Yeah, it's a great proposal in the right setting for it. So anyway, I thought it all worked.
Yeah. The characters are all good. Like, all the characters, like, have stuff. They got away from... There was a lot in Season 2 of keep secrets no matter what, and that was fucking trying. But they've actually gotten away from that a lot. There's not really that anymore.
Well,
it's nice when a show... It's nice when a show knows what it is, and if it's like a Buffy-esque, like, that's cool. That's fine. The shows now that kill me are the ones that are... They try to be a comedy, but they try and be a drama, and they try and be serious. And it's like, are you serious, or is it a comedy, or what is this? Like, I can't even watch those at all. Like, I don't know what's going on.
For instance?
Yeah, I knew somebody was going to say that. I can't think of anything right now. It was something I was watching recently that just made me insane.
Where, like, they make jokes and they don't land, but the person writing them clearly doesn't get that they're not landing.
Yeah.
Well, like, I'll give Ted Lasso, since we just watched it. Like, Season 1 is... just fucking hilarious. Season 2 deals with a lot of, I'll call
becomes very dramatic
adult issues, like mental health. And there's a lot of comedy strewn throughout. Like, it is still a comedy, but they'll still take deeper issues and address them throughout the season. Whereas, like, Season 1 was just pure comedy. So, I don't know if that's what you're talking about, or if you mean something else.
No, I can't remember what show it was, but it was recently. I was watching something, and I couldn't. I'm looking on Netflix right now, trying to figure out what that was, but I don't remember. It irritated the shit out of me, and I remember thinking, I hate when shows do this.
I'm getting some small feedback from Jeremy now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you're talking, I get static in the background, like white noise static, not like crinkle static. But it's only when you talk.
Huh. Still doing it just consistently?
No, I don't hear anything at all unless you're talking, because like Discord has like a floor on like noise, and so unless you're talking, it's not coming through.
Just like there's an air conditioner on in the background.
Yeah, kind of. I was wondering there might be like some feedback from another device nearby or something causing. Or did you like turn on something near your computer? No. Okay.
No, the air.
It's not very loud. I don't think it'll be a problem. I just noticed it.
Yeah, I wonder if it is picking up the air conditioner.
It might be. If it's like airflow, that could be.
Yeah, it might be. You know what show I was thinking of? Like, I just found one of them. The show Wednesday on Netflix. It was like that. I couldn't figure out whether it doesn't know. Like, does it want to be a comedy? Is it serious? Like, what is it doing? Is it creepy? Is it supposed to be scary? Is it stupid? Like, it doesn't land.
Yeah,
it doesn't land any of it.
I was not a huge fan of Wednesday. Yeah, that's a good example because they keep making jokes that aren't funny, and they keep trying to put you in like dramatic situations that don't feel tense. And like the main character is fine, but like the show is just really like slapped together. Other than that, it feels like.
Yeah, that was one of them where, and it was like visually, it was a very cool show. Other than that, I just couldn't stand it.
Yeah, like, it was really weird because it didn't know if it wanted to be creepy or if it wanted to be cute. Like, it was trying to do both, and it really didn't accomplish either. Like, they try to sell the Addams family as like these super dark, like serial killer type people, and like Wednesday is ashamed that someone might think she was a murderer, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, she threatens to kill people constantly.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally contradicting its own, like, premise.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. She was trying to protect her dad because everyone thought her dad was a killer, and they're like,
yeah,
but
they like being known as killers. It doesn't make any sense.
So fucking weird.
The Addams family is like, you either have to lean in all the way, like the original the original movies really leaned into it. They're just like, yes, we're completely deranged, and everyone's just like, but we're normal. They go, yes, but we're completely deranged, and like that was really consistent. But then as soon as you want to make a likable character, especially to a young audience, and they're completely deranged, it like people feel like they have to humanize them somehow.
Yeah.
But then that ruins the point that they're completely deranged. They're supposed to be completely deranged. Like you said, pick a lane. It doesn't.
Yeah. And that's why the original movie never really focuses too much on a single character.
No.
Because a single deranged person is not a good main character. So it's like an ensemble thing where you can move between them rapidly to kind of change tones.
Yeah, it's basically the only one I see off the bat. Like, but that was exactly what I was thinking of about that. It really pissed me off because I kept watching it. And I was like, this is supposed to be something.
Yeah, well, I think it's just a really weak show, honestly. Like, it just doesn't do much well.
Yeah.
But I think you've reached one of like the crux of it is that it's really hard to buy into it when it's constantly contradicting itself.
It doesn't really have an identity.
And you know what? I think a lot of those Netflix movies do that too. The ones that are just shitty and they have like a big actor in it. I don't know if you saw The Gray Man, but it has the guy who plays Thor. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah. And it's a cool looking character and it's a cool sounding concept, but the movie is just terrible. Like, it's just terrible. The writing is awful and it doesn't go anywhere and it's not interesting at all. And it's like, how could they put someone in it that's like such a superstar actor right now, like so hot, and fuck it up? Like, and
I think a lot of those are like that because you see Ryan Reynolds and Chris Evans and Chris Hemsworth and a lot of those guys getting into a lot of these like direct to streaming movies, and the movie's okay, but it's like the writing is really poor. Honestly, like I watched Extraction and it was fine. It had some like heavy stuff in it, but like I don't know, I just feel like it was missing something. Like it was just very thin. And
it's like, without that actor, would it be anything at all?
Yeah, it's like, this is not even a movie I probably would have watched.
It's so weird. It's like, how do they owe Hollywood? Is that the deal? Like, do they owe these Netflix people something? Like,
yeah.
Well, I think they're trying to make a push to like devalue Hollywood because I think Hollywood has a lot of issues right now. But they're trying to get out of like
very much part of Hollywood. I don't think.
You think the streaming service is all the same thing?
I think I think it's just
okay.
I don't think there's anything. I mean, are they operating out of Atlanta? Is that the idea? Like,
I don't mean like the location Hollywood, but I think it's the studios. They're trying to get out from under those studios specifically.
Oh, sure, but they're playing the same
it's a lot of like favoritism, favor bartering stuff, and like a lot of the movies that get made are not the movies that the people trying to make them are trying to make. And it's just like, congrats, there's this new project, but this is the next director that's owed a favor, so they get to make this movie, and they completely disagree with its premise entirely, and you're like, why are we doing this? Like, I feel like that kind of stuff happens a lot, where someone's nephew or someone who's owed a favor gets shoved into a position where they get power over something that they really don't deserve or
I think
have anything to do with.
I think you described every kind of entertainment industry.
Yeah, just stupid bureaucracy crap.
That's like...
Which is why a lot of DC movies end up being kind of stupid, I would say.
I think Disney is just as guilty as Sony, and just as guilty as Broadway.
Disney is definitely a terrible company, but like they at least get their shit together to make a movie usually. At least some of the time.
It is true. I wish I knew if this is true, but like there parts of Disney still have creative leads and people in authority that safeguard that kind of creative potential. That's true, but at least they did for a while. I'm not sure if they still do. Who knows? But it still doesn't mean that people aren't owed favors, and production teams and corporate needs don't sometimes invalidate the creative potential of a movie, even in creative space that Disney might try to preserve still happens.
I met the father of the writer of Saw 2 in a barber shop, and so we were just sitting there. We're there for 20 minutes or so before the guy can leave. So he's telling us about when his son wrote the script. It was supposed to be a completely different movie, and so they give him the contract for the movie, and then immediately after that, they tell him that they're going to make it into Saw 2, and he's like, "Well, my movie doesn't have anything to do with Saw." He's like, "Yeah, but we're going to change that," and he's like, "But it literally isn't even close." And so they just plug in several plot points that make it a Saw movie, and then rewrote a bunch of the dialogue, and then just produced it. And he's like, "But this isn't my movie," and he's like, "We don't care." It's like, okay, great.
They're like, "We bought it, so we can do it."
Yeah, it's like, we bought it. You should have read the fine print or whatever. And he's like, "This is dumb." And so I think that's a lot of what happens. Is so he gets his movie made and then never gets to be in Hollywood again because they basically just took his vague script and turned it into whatever they wanted. All right. Do we have any thoughts of a main topic today? Now that Jeremy's back, we can do the "Is Researcher good or bad for the game" that we didn't do last week.
Oh, man.
Is anybody feeling against that one? We've been sitting on that one for a bit.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. It's going to be a spicy one.
Unless we just simply all agree.
Don't worry, that won't be a problem. Me and Parker are here. We can disagree while agreeing.
Who would know, though? What
I know, right?
Who would be able to
we get
sort
to the
out
end,
the
it's like,
difference?
man, I can't believe they never agree on anything. We literally just totally agree.
Everyone just listens, and you're like, okay, wait, he definitely agrees. Wait, he disagrees? Wait. Identical.
It's like a debate, and nobody told which person has the affirmative.
Exactly.
Parker, I'm sending you some pictures.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Took me a second to find you on Discord. I usually send you stuff on Facebook. Because I usually send you trash reels, which is great.
Oh my gosh.
Were you in tears?
I can't remember which one you sent me recently. It was fantastic. Oh, it was the Taskmaster one. That's the one that I've shown.
The Taskmaster one was pretty funny.
That was a good one.
Yeah, everyone I've ever known, I now show the Taskmaster video.
I love the sugar glider one where the girl goes to let her sugar glider fly, and it's the hawk comes in. And you're like, no.
I don't know why you send me the Dumb Ways to Die, but I like all of them a lot.
Dumb Ways to Die are the best. I love watching people die on the internet.
Well, they're not snuff videos. You never see them die.
I know, right? You don't see the moment of death, but you know
doing
they die.
Really dumb things.
The guy tries to jump a pool and slips, and just his face comes down the corner, and you're like, that guy's dead.
The man out in the middle of a thunderstorm, a deluge of water around him, and he's trying to flip a live power line off the street.
There's down power line in the street. He just walks out and grabs it like it's a snake and is dragging it.
He's wearing thong sandals, and you're just like, oh my god. Everything about this just looks so dumb.
I really hope that's me when I'm old. Just so grumpy that there's a power line in my way, I just go grab it.
Well, God hates you too much to kill you.
I know, right? The mercy that would be allowed for me to die. Parker, did you get my pictures? I picked up his phone to check his messages, and that was not it.
It wasn't there. Those are cool. That looks like ductwork and an AC unit.
It is an AC unit.
For your rape cave?
For the shed. Although we've talked about it, and I think we might rename it. Because it's white on the inside, I think I might call it the fridge. What do you think?
Ooh, I like that.
Now we have air conditioning, too. But that means we'd have to turn the lights off when the door was closed, and it'd be really awkward.
I think it makes perfect sense. It looks nice.
Yep. You guys ever get dry skin?
No, I have the opposite.
You have the opposite. You have wet skin?
No, well, sort of. I have oily skin, so it's that's zero of my problems.
Do you know what the number one leading cause of dry skin is, actually, Jeremy?
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Towels. Parker, you didn't like that one?
Nah. Also, it was pretty obvious it was coming.
It's pretty obvious?
Yeah. I'm usually pleasantly surprised. This one was a little slow roll. If that joke was a
Slow
bowling ball, it was slowly pushed by a toddler, and it's just end over end for a couple minutes before it gets there. Not dissatisfying, just.
Are you saying you want another one to replace it because it wasn't good enough?
Yeah, I am requesting another one.
All right. How about this one? My girlfriend dumped me, so I stole her wheelchair. Guess who came crawling back? Was that better? Do you like that one more?
Yeah, I do like that one more. I do like that one more. A lot more.
A lot more.
A lot more. Parker liked that one too much.
Yeah.
This is Parker fantasizing.
I like that a lot.
All right. Well, I guess we're ready. You guys have anything before we start? Okay, here we go. We did it. We did it.
Shield sucks.
Whoa. I mean, I don't disagree. I did not think you were going to enjoy them. It actually really surprised me that you would pick them up.
I painted them.
Shield does not suck.
They're like the wheat toast of playing the game. I could definitely see Aaron enjoying them, but I don't think they're Jeremy style. He's like, I want to sit here and roll a 4.10 attack dice, and like that's definitely not a Jeremy thing.
I didn't enjoy anything about them.
Yeah, Jeremy,
as where Parker,
you're definitely
the
not
only
the
thing
dude
that
faction.
Parker enjoys is re-rolling dice he's already rolled.
Yeah.
The original dice he could roll 6,000 dice, doesn't matter. If he rolls 2 of them, those are the most important dice.
One day somebody asked me to play an RPG called Mage, and I was like, I don't know. And he said, there is a mage skill set you can do that lets you re-roll dice. And I went, how many dice?
You had me at
how many dice?
It's like all the dice. I was like, but could I re-roll those dice also? He goes, well, I guess, but you have to make it pretty good. You really have to. I was like, I'm in. Just how many dice can I re-roll?
He read that book cover to cover 1 hour later.
Yeah.
He's like, tell me more about this re-rolling.
Yep.
I went through all of my games, and I actually calculated my win rate with each affiliation.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I am under 50% with one affiliation out of 17.
Ooh, do we get to
X-Force?
guess?
Sure.
Oh, please let us guess.
Fine, guess.
Ooh. I'm so frothy right now. Let me think. This is all 17?
Yeah.
No, he hasn't played them all yet.
That's like not counting like 5 or 6, right?
Correct, not counting whichever ones are left, the 7 that are remaining.
Okay.
It's
so
not
what you've
X-Force?
played this year.
I'm guessing.
It is
I know
not.
it is.
X-Force is exactly 50%, so it is not X-Force.
Wow.
Can't play any more games with X-Force.
Oh, no, I need to. Then he needs to get above 50. So when you're giving out free wins next, Jeremy, let me know. I need one.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a feeling I know what it is.
I guarantee you don't, but go ahead.
Inhumans.
It is not. They're at 69%.
Oh, I thought you went on a huge win streak with us when you played. Oh.
Spider foes.
No, it's not.
59%.
Is it Sentinels?
No. 60%.
No, he was crushing with Sentinels.
Man, I thought there was
Probably
something.
something it should be strong. It's probably X-Men.
Right, no, I wanted to say
Is it
X-Men,
X-Men?
but I didn't think it was X-Men.
X-Men were brought down when I played Cyclops, but they're still at 66.
He got them all the way up to a 95% win rate, and now they're down to 41. Fucking Cyclops.
I remember the day you brought
This
Cyclops
is
to
a-
that tournament.
Brandon
You were-
affiliation.
Yeah, it's Brotherhood, because they suck.
It is not Brotherhood.
Okay, good.
I associate
Brandon.
this affiliation more with Brandon. How about that?
Convocation?
Convocation.
Oh, Convocation. That makes
Yep.
sense. I don't think Convocation are in a good place right now.
Why would
Because they are one of the many affiliations that preys on the middle tier, and the pickings have been slim. There's a bit of a drought.
Yeah.
A bit of a drought.
Yeah.
So guess my highest affiliation.
The lemmings aren't coming off the cliff like they used to.
So I'll tell you, I played 17 games with one affiliation and won 16 of them. I'm 16-1. And he ran
Webs?
No, not Webs.
Shield?
Nope.
Cabal.
No. I was shocked when I got to this part of the data.
Huh.
I feel like we
I
said
16%. I'm trying to remember what you were on a roll with.
was it
Yeah,
Criminals?
Oh, what'd you play Thanos in?
Weapon X?
You played Weapon X?
He didn't play Weapon X 17
Thanos?
times.
Yeah.
I'm picking Weapon X.
No, I didn't. It did not win 16 or 17.
I was like probably Quinn's 14 of those though.
So I never played this affiliation straight. This was a side affiliation.
It was a splash affiliation.
The way I played them this year.
I already guessed criminals.
I played them early in the year as a splash.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Was it Black Order?
Brotherhood.
Oh.
That was January. That was.
It was. Yep. It was LBO.
Yeah, it was
so my only loss.
I said criminals. That counts.
Okay, whatever. My only loss was in round 4 of the LVO finals with Brotherhood. Otherwise, it was 16-0. Did not expect that to be a thing.
That was the list I was trying to guess.
Yep, that was it. But I'm 25-5 with Shield for an 83% win rate.
Mm-hmm. I knew you were doing really good with Shield.
Yeah. I do think that they, like, any of these, like, that can go wide and have a lot of things they can do. I will say they do have a lot of tools. And I get, and it was the same with War Machine. I can step on my own toes faster than anybody can beat me. Like, I will ruin myself faster than anyone else can ruin me. So it's one of those, like, I need one less thing to worry about, and I know that's how I play the game. So they certainly have a million things going on. And I could see you get really good with them. They could be excellent. It's certainly a user error. It's definitely not. They're bad.
I don't think it's an error, but I think playing against your playstyle is more noticeable in this game than most.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, like, coin flip decisions, and if you're not going to lean in the direction you should be leaning in with that list, you're going to get diminishing returns. Yeah. And so because your natural instincts are, well, even if this is a close call, I'm going to choose violence, or I'm going to choose, like, later, I'm going to choose tempo, whatever it happens to be, is going to be more impactful in this game because the thing I like about this game the most is that there isn't a correct decision a lot of the time. Like, I'll look at a board and go, you should do this. And Aaron will look at a board and say, no, you should do this. And like a third person will look and go, nope, I think this is correct. Yep. And like, we're all right in our own way because we're all planning different things in the future.
Yep. Yeah. I would agree with that. That's a really good statement. I know that we certainly all do look at things differently. And when we do discuss it afterwards, I think that most of the time we're all pretty valid. Yeah. In what we were doing, even though we go about it different and sideways and interesting ways. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the real topic.
For sure.
I'm so happy!
Parker looks so excited.
I'm so excited!
Okay, so this is just meant to be a very casual conversation and not like something super crazy restrictive.
Dude,
but
it's already getting late, so we don't have a ton of time here.
Yeah, so we're gonna get through this, and then I'll put up the poll. So I'm gonna go first.
So hold on, you got to explain the poll and what people are going to be voting on.
Yeah, so, I mean, they'll see the poll before they hear us, but they heard last week. So what we're going to do is we're all going to name our top 3 superhero movies. We'll do this in the future. We'll do different genres or TV series, wherever it happens to be. We're going to name media that we enjoy, because we usually talk about media in the preamble anyway. So we're going to go our top 3 of a specific genre every week or so, whenever we decide to do it. And we are vetoing anything that's unanimous, I think, is the plan. But because it's unanimous, everyone will know that we all like it, right? Like, the fact that it's... So if we all call... Like, we're doing superhero movies this week. So if we all say Daredevil is taken out of all of our top 3s, we have to pick something else. And that way we see more options. If you name something that the rest of the group feels is inappropriate for the genre, like, let's say you want to pick... Die Hard as a superhero movie. Well, and the other people on the cast unanimously disagree with you. They kick it off your list. You have to pick something else. This will become more relevant when we get to like sci-fi, because there's a lot of things that are like sci-fi-esque, but not really sci-fi. But we're just making that rule for the future.
And then listeners vote on whoever's list they agree with the most.
Right. Okay. And I'm not going to put the names on it. So if you vote before you listen, you won't know who made the lists, so it'll be completely in the dark. So you have that option if you want to be unbiased. If you want to be biased, vote after.
You can pause right now, and if you want to go to the
you could. Well, the poll will go up before they hear this.
Right, but I'm saying if you didn't catch the poll, but you're listening now, you could pause it.
If you're listening now and you want to go vote, pause, go vote, and then come back and listen. See if you can predict who guessed what or who picked what.
Okay. So top 3 and bottom 1.
Top 3. We'll go one at a time across the board.
We're not doing our most hated.
No.
Okay.
We can do that later, but not right now.
Okay.
So I'm going to start. Expect a lot of very lame MCU choices from me. I'm going with Endgame. I refuse to pick anything from Endgame as my favorite because it gave me the most feels. So I like a lot of the other movies too, but I had the most emotional reaction to a movie in a long time that I had to Endgame. So I also have no empathy, so it's hard for me to feel stuff in other movies.
A symbol like that scene is pretty awesome.
Yeah, like no movie has ever made me want to stand up and scream in the middle of a theater and like just yell at the screen like that scene in Endgame. Yeah. And there's a lot of other good parts of the movie too.
Yes,
but
there are even small parts of the movie that are kind of forgotten that are wonderful, like the scene with where the Hulk goes back in time and talks to.
Yeah, the ancient one.
Yeah, the ancient
one. We are on a
one.
schedule here, though, so we're going to have a limited talking about each pick. So Jeremy's up next.
Number 1, all the feels, all the everything. 1994, The Crow.
Crow? Is this a superhero movie?
Yeah,
you're goddamn right it is. It's based on a comic book.
Right. Okay.
It has a soundtrack that still kicks ass to this day.
What did the actor do after that movie?
Well, he was dead.
Rip. Too soon.
Yeah.
Moving on. All right, we got The Crow. Parker, you're up.
I'm going to go for my first one that's definitely the top of my list, and you guys are to tell me if you don't think it's a superhero movie. It's based on a comic book, and I don't know what other genre it goes in, so I'm going out V for Vendetta.
That is definitely a comic book movie.
V is the hero. He's got a mask and a cape.
I think you got to give it to it.
Okay.
I'm not going to immediately. If you guys could try and convince me to vote it out, but I think it's totally fine.
I think it's fine.
Movie.
Yeah,
he's got a mask, a cape. He does shit on. Yeah,
and also the plot's about like his origin, and
I mean it's literally a comic book.
Yeah,
so yeah,
I think V for Vendetta is one of the best, well-made movies in general. And if you
read
the graphic novel, it becomes even better. It's really
good. Aaron.
Okay, so I have to give a little bit of backstory. So I grew up watching movies in the 90s, and all I can say is, apart from maybe The Crow, most superhero movies in the 90s were fucking horrible.
Yep.
Like horrible costuming, nothing but cheesy, campy, lame ass shit.
Horrible shit. Horrible shit.
Like my worst ever movie that we're not going to get to, but Batman and Robin. Like fuck that movie.
Yeah.
Woo. That's a bad one. What a stinker.
That was. So there's a fun drinking game. If you take a shot every time Arnold has a bad one-liner, you might die.
Yeah, it's
Chill.
One of two movies. The other one being the sequel to that I absolutely just turn off. I have a very low bar for keeping me entertained, and that cannot.
Yeah, we know that.
Anyway, exactly. So my 3 picks are movies that are not necessarily great in and of themselves, though I think they are, but they were great personally for me. So my first pick is the movie that changed my perception of the superhero genre, based off of my my development, and that movie is Batman Begins.
Okay.
2005. It went from being, first and foremost, a superhero movie that happened to be good to being a really good movie that happened to also be a superhero movie.
I think a lot of people would agree with you. I don't think anybody's going to yell at you for Batman Begins. A lot of people say it's actually better than Dark Knight. Okay. So I'm going to open up the genres a little bit more here and see what you guys are feeling. Parker's might have expected this, but I'm going with Megamind.
Yes, that movie's amazing.
It's amazing.
You want to talk about a movie with a soundtrack also?
That movie, it's such a great arc that's contained in itself. Mm-hmm. And I know it's written for kids, but there's so many great jokes in it. And there's actually character development and plot. It is... I think it's underrated, and a lot of people like it.
My wife and I often do the joke, the difference between a villain and a supervillain. Presentation! Yeah. It's just like that.
That's so great.
It's a wonderful scene.
When they're fencing, he's like, all right, that was from Winty Banter. You go first. And he's like, just murder, death, kill, scream. He's like, I don't really know what to do with that. Like, anyway, Jeremy, you're up.
What year is this? We'll check there.
What year is this? We don't need the years. People can look it up.
2017.
Logan. Oh boy.
Logan.
I almost picked Logan.
Yeah, of just fucking real. That shit's real, man. If superheroes were real, that's what it would fucking be.
Yeah, it's very awesome. Ground to earth.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Parker.
I'm going to go with a deep reach. We'll go with my boy, Ron Perlman, and say Hellboy 1.
Good job.
That's a spicy one.
Good job. You got there.
Ooh, I like that pick.
Hellboy
That's
is
a good pick.
fantastic.
Specifically the first one?
Yeah. I actually like the second one, too.
The second
but
one's sexy as fuck.
I think
dude.
the second one's actually better, but they're both really good.
I really like the first one. Actually, I saw Hellboy the movie before I read the comic, and
the end of
the
end of one is definitely better than the end of two. The end of one is so great.
Yeah, the scene where he's like, I went to the other side.
They did such a great job of going right up to the line of too corny, and then they just stood at it and laughed.
Man, and also the ensemble cast. The cast is fantastic.
It's great cast. I was actually upset that they remade it. I was like, come on, guys.
Right.
The new one was so bad.
There's a funny meme that just uses it's from Ron Burgundy, where he says, "You're not Ron."
Exactly.
Like, yeah. Wait, you're not my Hellboy.
All right, Aaron. What's your spicy 2 pick?
Spicy 2 pick. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
Ooh.
And the reason is because, again, not a Marvel fanboy. I didn't really... So I liked all action flicks, right? But in my mind, there wasn't a big difference between Iron Man and Last Action Hero. They're both just action flicks. And the first part of the MCU actually pissed me off. I'm like, why do I have to watch film X to then know what's going on in film Y? I'm like, can't I just fucking enjoy this movie for what it is? And the answer was no, and that made me upset.
To be fair, their original target audience was people that had been reading Marvel comics most of their lives, or at least had a vague understanding. So you didn't need to, but as a random, untuned-in person, yes, you would need to.
Right. But anyway, so Guardians kind of changed all of that because it was just so refreshing with its humor. I don't know. It's the first movie that actually turned me on to liking the MCU.
Guardians definitely created a whole new genre of 80s style action movies that were funny and superhero movies. That is a new type. Justice League tried to do that because it was so successful.
From that super serious preamble, and you're in the grim, walking through the ruins of the alien planet, the storms, and all of a sudden you hear that bow, 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 bow. I remember just my jaw dropped, and that huge Guardians just hits the screen, and you're like, oh wow, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first time you meet Funny Drax, it's so great.
Yes.
Anyway, so back to me. I would like to defer and wait, but I have 3 movies that could all fit in this spot, and it's killing me to pick one.
We all do. You just have to pick one.
Yeah. Can I go later? Can you guys go first? 'Cause I just want to name the one you guys don't name, honestly.
You won't name mine.
Okay. I was actually thinking he would pick it, so this is actually killing me. All right, if we're going for best, I'm going to go with Blade. And it's mainly for what Aaron said earlier. It reinvented what superhero movies could be, or comic book movies could be. It is super corny and super cheesy, and I don't think it holds up super well. However, the level of what it was for its time was so far ahead of everything else you could experience. I gotta go with Blade.
It was a ton of fun to watch. It was like eating cotton candy. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I skate uphill gets quoted on a weekly basis in my life. And not me. Other people do it.
Yeah, I'll give you props for that one.
Mm-hmm. Also, I wanted to not do multiple MCU picks for that exact reason. We could just name 10 MCU movies each, and it would be boring. All right, Jeremy.
I'm gonna go. Okay, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna go with an MCU pick. I have to.
Everybody should have one.
Yeah, Deadpool 2. I could watch that movie any
all
fucking
day.
Time. It is just perfect. Even the parts I hate the fat kid, but I also love the fat kid. He's totally, it's fucking great. Love that movie, Deadpool 2.
Both of them, honestly. I could watch Deadpool 1 and 2 all day long.
Yep, I like 2 though because it figured out, the first one, you had some backstory stuff, and it was a little bit, but the second one just went full blast, man. It was full blast Deadpool. Fuck it. Awesome.
Yeah. Nothing might be better than that X-Force scene when they're jumping out of the air.
Dude.
That I was crying. I could barely watch the movie. I was laughing.
Vanisher!
When he's falling, with his arms out and his leg down, right straight from the comic panel, I was just like, oh my god, that's brilliant.
So good.
Beautiful.
All right, Parker, you're up.
I had to I had to work really, really hard for this one. I think
I think
everybody is
you're
really
killing some children to pick number 3.
I'm really having a hard time.
Yeah, it's
But
tough.
I'm actually going to go with the opposite of Aaron's pick in the MCU, which is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. You have to know everything about the MCU to enjoy The Winter Soldier.
You do.
But it is a spy flick, and it's in the superhero genre. And I love a good spy thriller. And I love this as a choice for Captain America because coming after the first Avenger, which was very, hokey World War II kind of thing, which it makes sense for his character. Like, just the way he fights, the way he moves, the way he's interacting with the world is such an awesome journey for Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly what I want. I want a super soldier to turn into like a super agent. I want him to have to deal with those kind of problems. Also, the Winter Soldier was awesome. Like that character himself, he was so menacing and cool.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Every time I watch that movie, I love it.
Another movie that just accelerated the whole genre ahead of its time, right? Like it set the new bar.
Yeah, like those like running fight sequences between.
Choreography was amazing.
Yeah.
Where you're used to these like lame, like made for TV movie fight scenes. It was very realistic.
That scene where he's just the scene where he's in the elevator and he's like, "Does anybody want to get out?" And everyone's like, "This is going to be awesome."
So I didn't know, like, of the Marvel stuff I knew, I didn't know any of the S.H.I.E.L.D. or Hydra people at all. And so, like, I had no idea that was coming. I didn't know Rumlow was a bad guy. I didn't know any of that shit. So it was all surprising to me. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Why are they fighting? Aaron, your last pick.
Okay, last pick is also genre-defining. The Incredibles.
Ooh, I totally forgot. I didn't even consider that.
Jeremy and I talked about that one before I cast.
Yep.
Wow, no duplicates. That surprises me. I figured somebody would say Endgame. Did you guys only not say it because I said it, or do you just not feel it's in your top 3?
Endgame was not on my top. I made 10. It was not there.
I tried to get a little bit more obscure, and to me, my number 1 is The Crow. It has been for a million years. Just I've got backstory,
that's fair, yeah,
backstory and all that. And then some of the other ones, like I've got connections to a lot of the other ones, like. If we're just going to name some others, like X-Men, the first X-Men movie, like, it's still to this day, that first opening scene with Magneto getting dragged out of, like, Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's a powerful scene.
Like, holy shit. Like, that changed my, like, this is X-Men, right? Like, this is why, that whole stuff is so cool. Like, and then my kids were basically tiny, tiny firstborn babies when Avengers came out. Yeah. And I had to sit in a car while, like, it was insane. Like, no sleep, watching Avengers. Like, Avengers is totally
back when you have to camp out to see stuff.
Oh, dude. So there's so many important, like, moments for all these movies, and they're just so cool.
I've never hopped up and down in a seat giggling before, but I did in Avengers 1 when Hulk just grabs Loki by the legs, and just blam, 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 blam. Just
Dude, people told me they didn't like that scene. I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Cool. I'm excited to post these. I wonder where we're going to get. I think every one of these has ones I would have liked to pick, except for Jeremy's. But
oh, thanks.
Jeremy, would you like to know my version of The Crow for you? Would you like to know that? I'm not kidding. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Secret of the Ooze.
Nice.
Turtle Rap. Dude,
yeah.
Turtle Rap. I watched that movie 100 times.
I know.
When I was a kid. 100
times.
Go Ninja,
go.
I love that movie.
I can still vividly recall scenes. I could probably draw them from memory. I haven't seen that movie in 20 years.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I remember that movie so well.
I remember it was like midnight. I went by the video store and picked up a copy at like Blockbuster or whatever. And I had to go to school the next day, but it had come out in the video store. And I rented it so I could watch it like in my bedroom, my VCR before school the next day. Because it's just like, it was such an awesome movie at the time. You know, I was like 17. I went and saw it at the movie theater, and it was just that time in my life. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I also watched I wanted to pick the original Batman movie with Keaton. Like, dude, that was up there.
Batman
honorable
2,
mentions real quick.
The second Batman of
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Batman Returns
is great.
Danny DeVito's Penguin is so creepy and cool.
Actually eating a raw fish.
Yeah.
Dude.
Did you hear about the monkey? The monkey from the movie?
No.
Oh, yeah.
It tried to bite his dick off.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
There's he does an interview on the Graham Norton show about it. And he's like, yeah, like they introduced me to the monkey. He had the trainer shows the monkey where to go, and he like takes it down the stairs. And he's like, he walks up, and he's like, all right, and then he like tells him the monkey to hand the thing to Danny, and just lunges at him and bites his crotch.
Oh my
Just
god!
like, what the fuck? He's running around the set trying to pull a monkey off of his dick. He's like, what the fuck? And so then then they had to fix the costume because it bit a hole in the costume. And then he's like, give me a cup. We're wearing a cup for this scene.
Oh my god.
You remember so many things about that movie, but you don't remember things like Christopher Walken is one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like, and just like he's
Christopher
amazing.
Walken.
Like you just when you watch that movie again,
Dude,
you're like,
yeah.
wow, so
man.
many great things were in this movie.
Tim Burton Batman was some shit, right? And which is like when we got to Batman and Robin, why it was so frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like, dude, it's not hard. The rubber ducky boat, like, dude, everything was great. Okay, honorable mentions real quick. I wanted to say the Thomas Jane Punisher, but I figured I'd get hate mail.
Oh no!
I love the Thomas Jane Punisher.
It was great.
Dude, it's so
the
good.
Dolph Lundgren Punisher was the shit too.
Right, so it's like, I know I brought this up before. It's like, if I told you there was a movie that included the Punisher and Dolph Lundgren doesn't play the Russian, like, really, guys? Like, fucking really?
Yeah.
It's like, you missed the most obvious cast of all time.
But in the Punisher you're talking about, when his fight with the Russian in the apartment is one of those brutal fights.
So brutal.
It was
what's the guy who plays it? It's Shane Diesel, I want to say, is the guy who plays him? Mm-hmm. The wrestler?
I think so. Sounds right.
I believe it's Shane Diesel, who's an intimidating person, right? Yeah. Like, he's a hardcore kind of guy. Like, he gets hit in the head with bats for a living. Like, this guy knows how to be tough, right? So when he stabs him in the chest, the prop knife malfunctioned, and he legit gets stabbed in the chest.
Oh, God.
And doesn't move. Right, stone faces it. And then they pull, like, an inch of steel out of his pec, and he go, oh my god, the knife malfunctioned. And he's like, oh, I thought I was actually supposed to just get stabbed. Jesus Christ. Oh, man. I also wanted to say Hancock. Hancock's a fun, like, indie type movie.
I never saw that one.
I did not like Hancock, but
a lot of people didn't like that one.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good if you expect nothing, because it's just like a whole new interpretation of superheroes. But yeah, it's definitely got faults, which is why I didn't pick it.
I've got one.
Go.
RoboCop.
RoboCop is fun.
I actually wondered if
would
that
you
was
call
sci-fi?
that a superhero movie or a sci-fi movie?
Sci-fi. Was Iron Man a fucking superhero movie?
Yes,
not
because
that
he's
different.
Literally a hero. So this is where we're going to get into the mud later. Is what is the point of the movie? Is the point to be science fiction, or is the point to be a superhero? And I would argue, especially in the first one, it's supposed to be science fiction. The message is the morality of turning somebody into a cyborg. Also, like, hey, look at this cool robot hero.
Also, corporate America getting to do whatever it wants.
Right. Like, there's tons of... It's like, that's all the movie's about. It's basically Starship Troopers. Like...
I don't know.
And so... We'll get more into this later.
Yeah, there are other movies that play into that.
Yeah.
I would say
we can just talk about it tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one would have gotten vetoed. It's an interesting choice.
One on my list similar to that I vetoed myself is the new Dredd movie, because it's definitely, I think, a sci-fi or an action movie. It's
an action movie.
Even though it's based on a comic originally, it's definitely not.
Yeah.
One that made my list was Kick-Ass. I enjoyed Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass is fun.
I
really like Kick-Ass.
Not a good movie.
I like Kick-Ass 2. 2 is my favorite one.
2 is fun too.
Mm-hmm.
I also love the comics are great also. Like, they're great.
Yeah. Just wait, there'll be an Invincible movie someday and we can name that.
Yeah, well, they have the show. The show's pretty fun.
Show's good. I like the show.
Aaron, I want you to know a close fourth place between Winter Soldier. I couldn't decide. I decided to kick off, but it was The Dark Knight, which is the sequel to Batman.
I'm sure he knew that.
The Dark Knight has probably...
I don't know if Aaron's seen it.
That's actually a good point.
Ouch. Fuck.
Wow.
You said you stopped watching.
He was busy watching Persons of Interest when Dark Knight came out, so he skipped it.
Yeah.
That's right. Batman Begins is my favorite superhero movie ever, and I just said, fuck it, I don't need the sequel.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, sequels are commonly let downs. So, like, Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
That's certainly a Ron Swanson thing. I love the first one. Don't need a second one.
Don't need a second one. I'd watch Rocky 2 if I was bored, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
The Dark Knight was the first really long movie I've ever seen with like multiple conclusions and multiple resolutions that I was completely satisfied by. Most movies like that, I just get so tired and bored of it. I was exhausted by like an hour and 45 minutes in. And when I realized that Two-Face was still at large, I was like, wait a minute, they haven't even fought all the bad guys. It's going to be a to be continued? Wait, the Joker got out? What is happening? Like, is there still more conclusions? And there was 3 more conclusions to the movie. And they were so satisfying, one after another. I've never seen a movie ramp up like that and not stop ramping up like that.
I know Dark Knight gets a ton of love, and obviously, reasonably so. It's got a lot of great merits, but I also know a lot of people that think Begins is better. And part of the reason I probably don't like it so much is because I had a person in my life at the time who was way over obsessed with it and just burned it alive for me, and I just can't enjoy it anymore. But, like, I like Dark Knight. It's a good movie, but people pretend it has no problems, kind of like Empire Strikes Back. Like, it's a great movie, but people act like it walks on water and it's just like this unassailable thing. It's like, it's just a movie, man. Like, I know you love it, but it's got tons of issues if you sit down and look at it. And they just don't want to see it because they're fanboys, and it just annoys me.
I really enjoyed the first half of that movie. Like, I'll watch the first half of it at any time, but it's not one that I enjoy watching the whole movie.
So, like the character, the Joker, is amazing. But, like, this Deus Ex Machina, he knows and is prepared for every eventuality, is, like, just so unrealistic, it kind of takes me out of the movie a bit. And because it's like, why does he know this? Like, things are happening that definitely could not have been predicted. Like, there's no precedent for the things that have happened, yet he knows everything. Like, the fact that it's like nobody caught them sneaking like 50 tons of explosives onto these barges. Like, nobody cares. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, I know it's a superhero movie, but like, come on.
I think it's really exceptional. And I don't know if it's a tribute to the character or just a tribute to, like, creators in general. How many times the Joker has been reinvented and how many times it's been so much fun to watch. Like, the Joker has been invented, like, I think legitimately extremely well 3 times in 3 characters that I absolutely love. And I can't imagine replacing, and yet they all 3 exist simultaneously in the same character. And then they've been reinvented a number of other times that I think are fine. They're watchable. They're not, like, cringy. And it's such a crazy thing, I think, in popular culture, that I can watch so many different versions of that character and love intensely so many of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, for me, it's more like monkeys on a typewriter kind of situation. It's like, I am happy that the good ones exist, but the bad ones just tear them down for me.
You think so?
That's how I perceive it. And I'm not saying other people need to, because if people like it, power to them. It's just not something I enjoy. Because the thing that annoys me about comic book and superhero genres so much is that they keep rebooting the plot lines. And so it's like, someone's like, well, I really like Batman. I'm like, well, which fucking Batman do you like? There's 38 different versions that all have their own, like, little quirks. Because you definitely don't like the original Batman. Detective Comics, that's your jam, because you would fucking hate current Batman if that's what you liked. Like, it's like Rorschach was way too hardcore for this guy. Like it's like he was not even remotely similar in any way. No. And it's just like, so it just annoys me that's like, okay, I get that you like this, but like, can we stop rebooting the fucking thing already?
Well, I think from a comic book perspective, it makes perfect sense that the writer should get to make the character what they intended to do. And I think in that medium, it does make sense. I do see your point that movies want to capitalize on IP that they know is going to be recognizable and make them money. The studio wants to make money. But at some point you go, do we really need another one of these? Yeah. It's been live action and
it's not just DC. Like, how many times do you watch Uncle Ben get murdered? Like, guys, let's move past it.
Like, that's my pet peeve, is specifically Spider-Man. So I can take like generations of Batman. You have Adam West, right? And then you multiple.
I mean, there are
decades.
There are currently 3 different Batmans that exist in live action movies alone.
Right? Sure, I'm just saying that. Okay, maybe Batman was a bad choice. Anyway, going back to my upbringing, late 90s, early 2000s, and then Spider-Man in 2002. 10 years later gets reboot with The Amazing Spider-Man. Like, really? Like, we're already rebooting Not because the guy got Indiana Jones too old and gets replaced by someone new 50 years later. It's like,
well, they won't do that to Indiana Jones. No.
Well,
they keep dragging Harrison Ford's corpse back out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
CG.
But yeah, I agree. I hated Spider-Man growing up because of that.
That's fair.
Anyway.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Anyway, we better let Jeremy go before he starts screaming at us.
Or fall.
I think it's good.
Silent.
I think we had a lot of fun conversation. I'm excited to put this out and see what people think.
Yeah, I love accepting my first week trophy from y'all.
So
Your first week trophy.
I feel like we should make a bet about this. How about the losers have to give the trophy to me, so you guys have to buy a trophy.
I thought the traveling trophy isn't so much. It's a figurative one because the person gets to decide what the next topic is. Right? That's the.
Ooh, that's fun. I like that one. Whoever wins, whoever wins gets to pick the next topic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or the next genre.
We would have to pick a day to have the decision made by.
Yeah, as soon as I take the lead, I'll close it.
So, like, how long?
A good dictator would.
How long should the poll
Yeah, exactly.
stay
Like, you guys don't understand the kind of level power I orchestrate with.
Oh, I understand.
But Sunday night. It's a close Sunday night.
Okay.
He should.
They only have 2 days to vote.
I thought you said you were going to post the poll before the episode came out.
Right. So this week, what's actually going to happen is I'm going to have to stay up Thursday and release it, and I'll probably put it on a schedule and release it sometime Friday. And then, actually, I might put it up early for the people that are traveling Friday.
Yeah, you could release the poll tonight.
I'll probably just put it up Friday at like 3 a.m. And then the poll will go up with it. I'm not going to do the poll tonight.
Oh, okay.
I'll do the poll the day of. So people will have hours to click a button, even if I release them at the same time.
Okay.
So if go ahead, good, Aaron.
Also, the poll I plan on using is integrated with the podcast post. So,
I still say Sunday night.
Okay. Roger
yeah, that makes some sense for Sunday night because then the person, whoever wins, gets the chance to be notified and figure out what they're going to do, and we have a chance to figure out what we're going to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Early French cinema from the 1940s. I think you're really going to enjoy what we find.
Jeremy, as the person that wants to go to bed the earliest, that would be bad because I'll just start naming words at random until I name an actual movie, and then we'll just have to sit here until that happens.
Oh shit!
Now,
all right, let's get out of here.
I have only one question to close this up.
Okay.
Did anybody hear a movie tonight that they have not seen that they're going to go see now?
No.
Okay.
The only one that might have is Aaron.
I think I've seen The Crow. It's been a long time if I have.
It's been a very long time since I've seen The Crow, but I've definitely
It can't rain all the time.
It can't rain all the time.
I think that's the only one that I had a question mark whether I'd seen or not.
All right, how about this? Who heard a movie they didn't even consider that once they heard it were like, "Ooh, I could have said that."
Megamind for me. I could have said that.
Nice.
Oh,
Incredibles was mine.
I've definitely never seen Megamind.
Oh, we got one.
Yeah. Blade was the closest one that potentially should have made my list.
I thought you were going to say it after your whole thing about like things that like opened the horizon for you. I really thought you were going to, so I almost said Punisher, thinking you would say Blade. That's why I wanted to wait.
But Blade was it was good, but it was not on the level of
right.
Batman Begins.
There's comparing them now. That's why it's like my tops, because it was like it introduced me to what like comic book superhero stuff could be, and Blade being in the MCU is fun. I'm excited for his show to eventually come out. Even though I think Wesley Snipes needs to reprise the role personally, but that's a Hellboy conversation for another day. Yeah, so homework, you have to watch Megamind by next week and then give your thoughts.
Where can one find Megamind?
I'll give you the DVD tomorrow.
Watch it with your family. It's fun for the whole family.
I keep giving him DVDs. Hey, Josh gave you a DVD player to use. You have to watch it.
Somebody gave you a DVD player.
Josh loaned him his DVD player and HDMI connection so that he has no excuse not to watch Battlestar. How many episodes of Battlestar have you watched?
0.
God damn it.
I told you I'm finishing Star Trek Discovery. Then I will start Battlestar.
Man, there's a lot of build-up for this show. I got to tell you, I don't know that it's worth it.
Just because you have no taste doesn't mean Aaron doesn't.
That's for the viewers to decide. We have a
coming up. Do you know how many people have come up to me and was like, I can't believe Jeremy hasn't watched Battlestar yet? Like,
shut the fuck up. I have so many people come up to me and they're like,
legit happens.
Yeah,
like 5.
Like, yeah, I didn't really dig it either. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with that guy. Like,
nobody says that. Not a single person.
All right, let's wrap this up, man. I got
nope, I'm going to keep you longer now.
Tomorrow.
You're the one that I also have to work a double tomorrow.
Of 3 days you work, motherfucker.
So actually, this is a fun topic. Parker, how many days a year do you work? I know you know this. 165, I think.
Yeah, I think it sounds right.
Yeah, 165. So I went to Jim was saying this because he's also a teacher, and he leans over, is like, yeah, like because I only work 165 days a year. I go, man, it must be, and I just stopped for a second. I opened my calculator, and I was like, never mind, I only work 156. Just stop talking.
Oh, I lied. It is 181 in Kansas.
Oh my god, that's unbearable.
That's rough, guys.
Yeah, Jeremy, you realize you work like twice as many days a year as the rest of us. And honestly, you probably work more days a year than the rest of us combined.
Probably.
I'm actually curious how many days that you have hours on the clock for this year. We might actually be under your total for the 3 of us.
No. Because a lot of times I work 6-hour days and 5-hour days. Because I know that this shit happens, so I leave whenever I want.
Right, so, but I'm not saying the hours worked. I know the hours worked is going to be pretty even, but the days of the calendar you work, I think we might be beating you. Like days that you worked at all. Like counting, like check marking the day. Because me and Parker combined for like 300.
Oh,
no, you can't do math, you fuckhead.
What are you talking about?
God almighty.
Can I go to bed? You guys are really like, this is too much.
Yeah, let's go.
We're derailed somewhere.
All right, fine. Here we go. I want you to defend your statement. Why?
Because 181 plus 152 is like 335.
Yeah, but then combined vacation days.
Whatever.
Of 2 people. Holidays. Okay, here we go.